30 years ago, I was apparently the dumbest genius in gaming history. My name is Jin, and when I was 13, there was only one thing I cared about more than food, sleep, and pretending I had done my homework. It was a brand new VRMMO called Eternal Dominion. Back then, everybody was talking about it. The commercials promised endless adventure, legendary swords, floating cities, demon kings, dragon raids, and an economy so realistic that one guy on the news supposedly paid his rent by selling magical cabbages. Naturally, I ignored all of that and became a farmer, not on purpose. On my first day, I chose the warrior class because the character creation screen showed a guy with 8 swords floating behind him. I thought I would get 8 swords. I did not get 8 swords. I got 1 rusty sword, 3 stale biscuits, and a pair of pants with -1 charisma. I spent 2 hours fighting tutorial slimes and somehow lost to a chicken. Then I discovered a side quest where an old man offered me a patch of dirt outside the starter village if I pulled weeds for him. The moment I saw that empty farm plot, something in my 13-year-old brain activated. I forgot the Demon King. I forgot the floating cities. I forgot the 8 swords. I planted potatoes. By the end of that weekend, I was level 7. I had an F-rank farm, a wooden shed, a crooked fence, 12 potato plants, and 1 NPC worker named Momo. Momo was a tiny old woman with a straw hat, a terrifyingly straight posture, and a farming stat slightly higher than mine. Her entire job was to water crops while I was offline. At least that was what I thought. The game had a checkbox in the farm menu called offline progression. I turned it on because I assumed it meant my potatoes would grow overnight. Then Monday happened. School happened. A new fighting game came out. My best friend told me Eternal Dominion was boring because he got eaten by a swamp turtle. I told myself I would log back in next weekend. I did not. 1 weekend became 1 month. 1 month became a year. Then life did what life does. I graduated. I moved. I worked. I forgot passwords. I changed devices. I forgot Eternal Dominion even existed. 30 years passed. Then one random afternoon while cleaning a storage box, I found my original Eternal Dominion account card underneath an old handheld console and a packet of expired gum. The card had my username written on it in 13-year-old handwriting, Jin the Destroyer. There was a heart over the letter I. I stared at that heart for a full minute. Then I decided that for the sake of my dignity, the past needed to be erased. The problem was Eternal Dominion still existed. Not only did it still exist, it had become one of the longest running games in history. Apparently there had been expansions, reworks, graphical overhauls, class awakenings, continent resets, 6 different magic systems, a space update nobody liked, and something called the Great Fishing Civil War. I had missed all of it. I downloaded the current client mostly so I could log in, delete Jin the Destroyer, and never think about 13-year-old me again. The login screen accepted my ancient account ID. Then it asked for my security answer. What is the greatest food ever created? I typed pizza. Wrong. I typed noodles. Wrong. I typed fried chicken. Wrong. I sat there deeply offended by my younger self. Then I remembered mashed potatoes. Correct. I put on the new neural headset, expecting my account to be gone or my character to be a corrupted polygon. Instead, I opened my eyes inside a white loading chamber. A cheerful system window floated in front of me. Welcome back, Jin the Destroyer. Last login, 10,957 days ago. I laughed. Then another window appeared. Offline progression report available. I stopped laughing. The report expanded. Offline time, 10,957 days. Unclaimed EXP, 84,721,993,102. Gold earned, 31,492,881,002. Items waiting, 6,207,441. My first thought was that the display had bugged. My second thought was that I had accidentally logged into somebody else's account. My third thought was that 13-year-old me had been a financial mastermind and 43-year-old me had no idea how. At the bottom was one golden button. Claim all. There are moments when a wise person investigates. There are moments when a careful person reads the patch notes. There are moments when a responsible person asks customer support whether pressing a mysterious button could destroy 30 years of accumulated resources. I pressed it instantly. The world exploded into notification sounds. My level 7 badge shattered. Level 8, level 9, level 10, level 20, level 50, level 100. The numbers accelerated so fast they became a waterfall. Class skill acquired. Stat point acquired. Achievement acquired. Hidden title acquired. Profession unlocked. Profession mastered. Profession evolved. Profession mastered again. Companion slot unlocked. Companion limit expanded. Inventory limit expanded. Inventory dimension expanded. Inventory dimension became self-governing. I had no idea what that last one meant. My level climbed past 200, then dry hundredsta, then fum hundredsta. I started panicking because the screen was flashing so hard I thought my headset was trying to cook my brain. At level 777, fireworks appeared. At level 888, a golden dragon flew through the loading chamber, bowed to me, and vanished. At level 999, ominous choir music started. Then my level hit 1000. The system paused. I thought it was finally over. A tiny plus sign appeared beside the number. Level 1000 plus. Apparently the modern interface refused to display higher values because almost nobody needed them. My character sheet opened automatically. Strength, absurd. Agility, absurd. Vitality, absurd. Magic power, absurd. Luck, suspicious. Farm management, catastrophic. I blinked at that last stat. Then a message appeared. Due to multiple legacy profession conversions, your farming knowledge has been reset. I had become one of the most powerful beings in Eternal Dominion, and I no longer knew how to plant a potato. Before I could process that, 6 million items tried to enter my inventory at once. The game solved the problem by creating a private storage space called the Infinite Barn. I opened it. There were tabs, then more tabs inside the tabs, then sub-tabs inside those tabs. Seeds, ore, weapons, armor, furniture, monster parts, books, relics, food, potions, tools, random objects Momo refused to throw away. I clicked that last folder. It contained 18,341 wooden spoons. I was beginning to understand why my inventory had become self-governing. Then I noticed the item values. One sack of moonlit barley had a market estimate higher than my entire real-world yearly salary. A box of red berries had a warning label saying discontinued item, no longer obtainable. I owned 74,000 boxes. There were beginner swords from an old version of the game that collectors apparently treated like museum artifacts. There were limited festival masks. There were obsolete crafting crystals. There were mounts. There were eggs. There were things I could not identify because their names were written in alphabets added during expansions I had never played. And at the bottom of one tab was my original rusty sword. Estimated collector value 420 million gold. I had sold better swords to NPC shops in other games for 6 coins. My hands started shaking. Then the loading chamber disappeared. I expected to spawn outside the beginner village beside my 12 potatoes. Instead, I appeared on a balcony overlooking a city. Not a normal city. A city built around a mountain shaped like a giant turnip. Golden fields stretched across the valleys. Windmills spun beside crystal irrigation towers. Mine carts flew through the air on glowing rails. Giant cows wandered peacefully in armored pastures while tiny golems polished their horns. Merchant caravans moved through stone gates wide enough for dragons. There were banners everywhere. They showed a potato wearing a crown. I slowly looked down at myself. My armor was still beginner leather. My shoes were still brown cloth. My rusty sword hung at my waist. I looked like a delivery driver who had accidentally wandered into an emperor's palace. Behind me, 100 NPCs knelt. At the front was a woman in silver and green armor. She looked maybe 30. Her hair was gray, her eyes were sharp, and she carried a farming hoe taller than I was. She called me Founder Jin. I pointed at myself. She nodded. I checked behind me in case there was another Founder Jin. There was not. Then she introduced herself. Momo. My brain rejected the information. The tiny old woman with the straw hat had somehow become taller, younger looking, and more intimidating than every boss monster I had seen in the original advertisements. It turned out NPC advancement had been completely reworked around year 7. Workers could gain levels, then professions, then combat classes, then prestige classes, then titles. Momo had spent 30 years farming, managing, negotiating, escorting caravans, exterminating pests, defending the settlement from monsters, and apparently beating 3 tax collectors in honorable combat. Her current level was 1,286. My original level 1 farm worker was stronger than modern S-rank players. I asked what happened to my farm. Momo smiled like I had asked where my sandwich went while standing inside a sandwich factory. The farm had become Greenhaven Estate, then Greenhaven Cooperative, then Greenhaven Township, then Greenhaven Free Agricultural Territory, then, after several administrative disputes, Greenhaven Hidden hidden kingdom. I asked why it was hidden. Momo explained that when players discovered profitable NPC settlements, they tended to invade them, exploit them, buy them, raid them, or turn them into content. So Greenhaven simply moved. I stared at the mountain. She said they moved the entire valley using 12,000 earth mages and a domesticated world tortoise. I decided not to ask follow-up questions. The next message almost knocked me off the balcony. Territory ownership restored. Hidden Kingdom of Greenhaven is now under direct player authority. Population, 104,421. Treasury, 31,492,881,002 gold. Standing military forces, 22,904. Registered livestock, 3,810,442. Unpaid parking fines, 6. I had somehow inherited a kingdom because I forgot to turn off offline farming. The 6 parking fines bothered me the most. Before I could ask about them, another window appeared. World ranking updated. Rank 9,812,441. Then the number started falling. Rank 5,000,000,000. Rank 1,000,000,000. Rank 100,000. Rank 7,000. Rank 1,000. Rank 100. Rank 10. Rank 3. Rank 2. Rank 1. A red warning appeared. Global leaderboard anomaly detected. I whispered that this was probably fine. The entire sky turned gold. A worldwide announcement rang through Eternal Dominion. Player Jin the Destroyer has reached combat power rank 1. Every NPC on the balcony cheered. I nearly threw myself over the railing. There were tens of millions of active players. Many had trained for decades. Entire guilds were built around climbing the rankings, and I had just taken first place by collecting 30 years of potatoes. The system immediately delivered 83,000 private messages. I opened the first one. It was just a question mark. The second one was also a question mark. The third said, "Who are you?" The fourth offered me a guild leadership position. The fifth accused me of being a hacker. The sixth asked me to marry somebody's sister. The seventh asked me to marry somebody's brother. The eighth asked me to marry a dragon. I closed private messages. Then the front gates exploded. I jumped. Momo did not even blink. A terrified guard ran onto the balcony and said a foreign champion had arrived. I asked if we were under attack. The guard said technically no. The player outside had challenged me to a duel. Apparently 10 seconds after I became rank 1, the former rank 1 had teleported across half the world to verify whether I was real. His name was Varkas the Crimson Meteor. I had heard of him, not from the game, from a soda commercial. He was one of those celebrity players with sponsorships, documentaries, custom equipment, fan clubs, and enough followers to start a small country. In-game, he was level 923. He specialized in high-speed spear combat. He had defeated raid bosses solo. He had once fought 5,000 players at the same time for a charity event and won, and he was waiting outside my beginner farm kingdom. I asked Momo what button declined a duel. She stared at me. That was when I realized something terrible. The user interface had changed in 30 years. I did not know what any of the buttons did. I opened the menu. I saw social, titles, resonance, constellations, ascension, soul grid, contract web, Dominion Authority, Legacy Systems. I saw a glowing sword icon. I pressed it. A giant beam fired from my fingertip and erased a mountain in the distance. Everybody went silent. I slowly put my hand behind my back. I had not meant to do that. Momo asked if I was demonstrating my restraint. I said yes, obviously. The mountain was apparently scheduled for removal anyway. She looked impressed. I had just accidentally performed geological maintenance. Then Varkas shouted from outside the walls. His voice was amplified by magic. He called me rank thief, unknown farmer, and suspiciously old account. That last one hurt. I needed a plan. I could not duel him. I barely remembered how to move properly in combat. When I tested my dodge button, I accidentally teleported through 3 rooms and landed inside a bakery. The baker gave me a pie. I returned to the balcony carrying it. Momo did not ask. I considered hiding. Then I remembered I was the ruler of a secret kingdom full of NPCs who had been progressing for 30 years. So I asked Momo if somebody could fight in my place. She told me substitute dueling had been removed in patch 14.2 after the Puppet Emperor scandal. I had no idea what that meant. Then she added that territorial challenges still allowed appointed champions. I looked at her. She looked at me. 5 minutes later, Varkas stood in the kingdom arena facing an elderly beekeeper named Uncle Bori. I had chosen Bori because he was standing nearby. I assumed Varkas would win quickly, feel satisfied, and leave. Then I checked Uncle Bori's status. Level 1041. Class, Divine Apiarist. Weapon, Bee Smoker of the 9th Hive. Title, He who commands the buzzing sky. Varkas laughed when he saw him. Uncle Bori released one bee. The bee was level 702. Varkas stopped laughing. The duel began. I still do not fully understand what happened. There was a yellow blur. A spear snapped. A stadium wall collapsed. Varkas vanished into a cloud shaped like a beehive. Then the system announced Uncle Bori as the winner in 1.8 seconds. The former rank 1 reappeared at the edge of the arena with his health at 1 point, his armor smoking, and a small jar of complimentary honey in his hands. Uncle Bori apologized because his bee had become excited. I stared at Momo. She calmly explained that the kingdom's combat level had risen because monsters kept eating crops. So the farmers adapted. I asked what kind of monsters required a level 1041 beekeeper. She told me cabbage moths. I decided Greenhaven had a very different definition of pest control. Varkas left without saying anything. 10 seconds later, another worldwide announcement appeared. Varkas the Crimson Meteor has changed his profile description. I opened it. Former rank 1, currently reconsidering agriculture. By sunset, Greenhaven's front gate was surrounded by players. Not hostile players. Curious players. Streamers. Guild scouts. Merchants. Influencers. PvP fanatics. A man selling unofficial Jin the Destroyer t-shirts, even though I had been famous for 6 hours. Momo wanted to activate the kingdom's concealment barrier. I told her not to. This was my chance to figure out what modern Eternal Dominion was actually like. I needed information. I needed a guide. I needed somebody patient enough to explain 30 years of game mechanics without asking why the strongest player in the world did not know how to open his quest log. Then I saw a new player outside the gate being chased by 3 rabbits. She was level 4. Her name was Sarah. She tripped over a rock. The rabbits attacked. I instinctively ran over to help. Unfortunately, my agility stat was absurd. I crossed the entire valley in less than a second, overshot by 2 miles, hit a tree, bounced off a cliff, ricocheted through a waterfall, and crashed into the ground beside her, hard enough to create a crater. The rabbits fainted. Sira stared at me. I climbed out of the crater and pretended everything had gone according to plan. She asked if I was a boss NPC. I said no. She looked at my name, then she looked at the global rank symbol floating beside it. Then she screamed. I asked her if she knew how to open the quest log. She stopped screaming. That was how the rank 1 player in Eternal Dominion hired a level 4 beginner to be his tutor. Sira thought I was joking. I was not. She showed me how to use the modern interface. I learned that the glowing sword icon I had pressed earlier was not a menu button. It was a quick cast slot. I learned that my default attack had enough force to kill most field bosses. I learned that jumping was dangerous because my strength stat could launch me into low orbit. I learned that my inventory had a search bar. That discovery alone saved my sanity. I typed healing potion. Result: 482,991 items. I typed basic healing potion. Result: 91,208 items. Sira picked one up and froze. Apparently the potion was from the game's first year. Modern healing potions restored a percentage of health. Mine restored a fixed amount. The fixed amount looked terrible by current standards, so old players had thrown them away years ago. Then a recent challenge mode had been released where percentage healing was disabled. Suddenly ancient fixed heal potions had become insanely valuable. Sira told me one bottle could sell for 200,000 gold. I owned 91,000. I nearly passed out. Then she found a wooden ring. It gave +2 strength. I apologized for the garbage. She stared at me like I had insulted her ancestors. The wooden ring was apparently a discontinued pre-rework accessory with no level requirement. That meant modern crafters used it in bizarre low-level build strategies. Market value 11 million gold. I put the ring back very carefully. At that exact moment, somebody in the crowd outside shouted that I was manipulating the market. I had not even reached the market yet. Things got worse when Sarah showed me the auction house. Because the moment I opened the interface, the system tried to list recommended items from my storage. The first suggestion was 10,000 units of ancient iron ore. I clicked confirm because I thought confirm meant close. The entire global price of ancient iron ore crashed by 96%. Players everywhere began screaming in economic pain. Crafting guilds panicked. Speculators sold everything. One famous merchant apparently dropped his monocle in real life. I tried to cancel the listing. Instead, I clicked buy. I bought back my own ore, then accidentally bought every remaining unit of ancient iron ore on the market. The price increased by 3,400%. Sira slowly took my hand away from the interface. She told me I was no longer allowed to touch the economy unsupervised. That seemed fair. Unfortunately, my accidental market catastrophe drew the attention of the Merchant Federation. Their representatives arrived that evening riding golden griffins. At their front was a player named Lady Vale. ranked 12 overall, and number 1 in wealth. She was famous for controlling trade routes across 3 continents. She wore black and gold robes, had a floating calculator made of diamonds, and entered my kingdom with the expression of somebody arriving to audit a volcano. She demanded to know my intentions toward the ancient materials market. I told her I had no intentions. She did not believe me. I told her I had not played in 30 years. She believed that even less. Then Momo invited her to dinner. That was a mistake. Greenhaven's dinner table was loaded with ingredients accumulated over decades. Legacy rice, moonwater fish, sun onions, royal pepper, a cheese wheel apparently aged inside a time dungeon. Lady Vale took one bite of soup and dropped her spoon. I thought it tasted good. She told me the soup's ingredient value was approximately 80 million gold per bowl. I stopped chewing. Momo had served 12 bowls. Uncle Bori asked if anyone wanted seconds. Lady Vale grabbed his wrist. Apparently Greenhaven had warehouses full of ingredients considered extinct because their original regions had been deleted during map redesigns. We were eating collector items. Momo explained they had planted backups. Of course they had. Lady Vale asked how many sun onion seeds we possessed. Momo checked a ledger. 14 million. The wealthiest player in Eternal Dominion went completely silent. I could see her recalculating her entire worldview. Then she asked what price I wanted. I did not know. So I said the first number that entered my head. 3. Lady Vale asked 3 what? I panicked. Potatoes. She thought this was some kind of ancient negotiation code. Before I could stop her, she offered me exclusive trade access in exchange for 3% of the first harvest. Momo accepted. Apparently I had accidentally negotiated one of the most valuable agricultural contracts in the game's history using the word potatoes. Syrah whispered that maybe I should just keep acting mysterious. I whispered back that I was not acting. By the end of my first day back, I had become rank 1, humiliated the former champion through an elderly beekeeper, crashed and revived a commodity market, hired a level 4 tutorial guide, and signed a trade agreement I did not understand. I decided I had accomplished enough. I wanted to log out. I opened the menu. I clicked what I thought was exit. A red portal appeared above the kingdom. A system message filled the sky. Ancient dormant challenge activated. I stared at Sarah. She stared at me. Momo slowly looked upward. Through the portal descended a colossal armored rabbit with 12 horns, 6 wings, and a crown made of carrots. Its name appeared in burning letters. Bun Bun, forgotten calamity of the first tutorial. Level 950. Syrah looked at me with horror. I looked at the rabbit. Then I looked at my menu. Apparently the exit button had moved 30 years ago, and this was only my first day back. Bun Bun landed hard enough to shake every window in Greenhaven. The gigantic rabbit spread its 6 wings, lifted its 12 horns, and released a roar so powerful that thousands of birds flew out of the nearby forest. Then it looked at me. Its eyes narrowed. My hands immediately went up. I wanted everybody to understand that I had not deliberately released a prehistoric tutorial rabbit into the kingdom. Syrah asked what I had pressed. I told her the door-shaped icon. She informed me that the door-shaped icon was the Legacy Challenge archive. I asked why it was shaped like an exit. She said it was not shaped like an exit. It was shaped like an ancient dungeon gate. This was not helpful. Momo ordered the guards to form a defensive line. 20,000 NPC soldiers moved at once. Uncle Bori calmly opened a jar of bees. I begged him to close the jar. I had already seen what one bee could do. I did not want to learn what the whole jar did. Bun Bun's health bar appeared. It had 19 separate layers. Syrah explained that old raid bosses used stacked health bars before the modern shield system. I asked whether that meant it was strong. She stared at me. Then Bun Bun charged. I panicked and grabbed the nearest weapon. It was a wooden rake. I swung it. The air cracked. A shockwave split the clouds, launched Bun Bun backward, and flattened 4 acres of wheat. Everybody froze. I froze too. The rake did not survive. One half remained in my hand. The other half achieved space travel. Syrah looked at the destroyed wheat field and told me to stop helping. Good advice. Bun Bun recovered and opened its mouth. A massive sphere of red energy formed between its teeth. Momo called out the skill name. Carrot Apocalypse. I was beginning to suspect the early developers had not taken boss naming very seriously. The energy sphere grew larger. I searched my skills for barrier. There were 2,904 results. I searched shield. There were 8,441 results. I searched stop rabbit. There were no results. So I did the one thing I actually understood. I opened my infinite barn and searched carrot. Result: 3,820,117 items. I grabbed the first carrot and threw it. Because my strength stat was absurd, the carrot became a golden missile. It crossed the arena in a blink, and stopped directly in front of Bun Bun's nose. The boss cancelled Carrot Apocalypse. Its ears went straight up, then it sniffed. The terrifying ancient calamity sat down. I threw another carrot, this time much more gently. It vanished into the rabbit's mouth. A system message appeared. Legacy behavioral condition detected. Feed Bun Bun 5 Oldfield carrots to unlock alternate completion route. Syrah's jaw dropped. Apparently nobody knew this route existed. Why would they? Oldfield carrots had been removed from the game 26 years ago. I had 600,000. I fed Bun Bun 4 more. The 19 health bars disappeared. The giant rabbit shrank. Not a little. It shrank all the way down to the size of a house cat. Its 6 wings became tiny fluffy wings. Its 12 horns became 12 little bumps. It hopped onto my shoulder. Ancient dormant challenge cleared without combat. Unique companion acquired. Bun Bun. Legacy title acquired. Friend of tutorial disasters. I stared at Syrah. She stared at the rabbit. Then Bun Bun bit my ear. Apparently friendship was complicated. The global system announced the clear. That caused another problem. Thousands of players remembered there were old challenge portals they had never completed. Then they noticed I had cleared one in under 3 minutes. Immediately, guides appeared online claiming I had discovered a secret ancient combat technique. Nobody mentioned carrots. I considered correcting them. Syrah told me not to. The mystery was doing more work than I was. Bun Bun spent the next hour stealing vegetables. I tried to put it in my companion menu. I accidentally opened the mount menu and summoned something called Harvest Engine number 7, a walking combine harvester the size of a fortress unfolded in the courtyard. It had 6 mechanical legs, rotating blades, a crystal chimney, and a driver's seat shaped like a rocking chair. Momo looked nostalgic. She explained that Greenhaven had built it during the Great Locust Year. I asked how many locusts there had been. She said 1. I did not ask how large it was. I carefully dismissed the machine. This time I actually read the button labels. By evening I realized staying inside Greenhaven was making me worse. Every time I asked a simple question, one of my NPC citizens assumed I was testing them. I asked a blacksmith how repairing worked. He immediately forged a self-repairing sword because he thought I was challenging him to eliminate the concept of durability. I asked a cook how hunger worked. She invented a biscuit that kept a player full for 9 real-world days. I asked a stable master how mounts worked. He brought me a dragon wearing horseshoes. I needed to see normal players doing normal things. So the next morning, Syrah took me to the nearest major player city. I tried to travel anonymously. That was difficult when my name had a gold rank 1 symbol beside it. Syrah showed me privacy settings. I hid my level. I hid my rank. I hid my titles. Then she told me to change out of my original leather armor because collectors would recognize it. I opened my storage. Every modern-looking armor set I owned had apparently been upgraded by Greenhaven's workshops into something ridiculous. Dragon steel coat, celestial bark plate, world root gardener robes, apron of the 17 kitchens. The apron had more defense than Varkus's championship armor. Eventually, I found a plain gray cloak from year 2. Syrah approved it. Then she checked the market value. She immediately unapproved it. Apparently only 12 known copies remained. I ended up wearing current beginner gear purchased from a local NPC shop. It cost 40 gold. I paid with a 1,000,000 gold coin because that was the smallest currency stack in my active inventory. The shopkeeper passed out. Syrah paid instead. This was humiliating. We entered Brightport, a giant modern city built around a lake. There were floating billboards, player shops, teleport gates, crafting towers, arena screens, mount lanes, and enough glowing costumes to make me feel like I had walked inside a festival lantern. Players flew overhead on dragons. Someone rode a giant spoon. A wizard passed us while sitting inside a bubble bath carried by ghosts. I asked Syrah whether that was normal. She said no. Then the wizard gave us a thumbs up. We reached the beginner plaza. I had expected to feel nostalgic. Instead, nothing looked familiar. The old village from 30 years ago was apparently underneath Brightport, literally. Players had expanded the city over it so many times that the original starter zone now existed in the sewer layer. Syrah showed me the modern tutorial board. Collect 5 herbs, defeat 10 slimes, craft 1 item, complete 1 beginner dungeon. I stared at it. For the first time since logging back in, I saw objectives I understood. I decided to do all of them. Syrah asked why. Because I needed practice. My account might have been a monster, but my actual experience was still level 7. If I could not complete a beginner tutorial without destroying a mountain, I had no business being rank 1. I accepted the herb quest. The first herb was beside a fountain. I tried to pick it. My harvesting skill triggered automatically. The fountain, the flower bed, 3 benches, and a decorative tree entered my inventory. Syrah made me put them back. The second attempt went better because she found a setting called manual interaction scaling. I turned my strength, agility, magic power, profession effects, passive skills, companion bonuses, territory bonuses, legacy bonuses, equipment bonuses, title bonuses, and apparently weather bonuses down to minimum. My displayed stats became roughly equal to a level 5 player. I felt safe. Then I sneezed. A nearby slime exploded. Sierra discovered there was also a natural stat overflow toggle. We turned that off too. At last, I was weak. It felt wonderful. I picked 5 herbs manually. Quest complete. I nearly cried. Then we reached the slime field. I drew a level 1 iron sword. A tiny green slime bounced toward me. This was my moment. 30 years ago, I had fought these things. My body remembered. I stepped left. I swung. I missed. The slime hit me in the face. Sierra laughed so hard she had to sit down. The rank 1 player in Eternal Dominion lost 4 health to a level 2 slime while deliberately suppressing all his stats. I chased it. It bounced away. I tripped over another slime. A 3rd slime landed on my head. By the time I defeated 10, my pride had lost more health than my character, but I had done it properly. No cosmic beams. No accidental earthquakes. No elderly beekeepers. Just me and a cheap sword. I felt strangely proud. Then a group of players approached. They wore matching red jackets. Their leader was level 34 and had a sword almost as long as his body. He asked Sarah why she was carrying a noob through the tutorial. I looked behind me. There was no one there. He meant me. Sarah's face did something dangerous. I quietly asked her not to reveal who I was. I wanted to see how normal low-level players interacted. The red jacket player introduced himself as Rex of the Firewolves. He told me I was holding my sword wrong. He was correct. Then he told me my beginner gear was embarrassing. Also correct. Then he offered to let me join his guild if I carried their bags through the beginner dungeon. I accepted immediately. Sierra asked if I had lost my mind. I whispered that this was authentic player interaction. She said authentic player interaction was usually terrible. The Firewolves were a 6-person beginner guild. Rex was their leader. His second-in-command, Nika, was a level 29 archer who looked permanently tired of Rex. There was also a healer named Pomo, a mage named Dent, a shield user named Gruff, and a rogue whose name I forgot because he spent most of the time invisible for no reason. They thought I was level 7 because that was the old level still attached to one of my legacy profile cards. I did not correct them. We entered the beginner dungeon called Goblin Pantry. The objective was simple: defeat goblins, retrieve stolen food, beat the goblin chef. Rex gave a speech about teamwork. Then he immediately ran into a trap. A frying pan hit him in the face. I liked this dungeon. For the first 10 minutes, I carried bags and watched. Modern combat was much faster than I remembered. Players chained skills. They canceled animations. They managed stamina. They swapped equipment. They used consumables at exact timings. I understood almost none of it. Sarah kept explaining things while I nodded like an old man learning how to use a new phone. Then the group reached a locked door. The rogue tried to pick it. He failed. Dent tried fire magic. The door resisted spells. Rex searched for a key. I remembered the goblin we had passed earlier carrying a saucepan. It had been suspiciously protective of the saucepan. I went back, found it, and looked inside. The key was under a boiled egg. The firewolves stared at me. I told them I had 30 years of gaming wisdom. That was technically true if you counted the years I did not play. In the next room, goblins attacked from elevated platforms. Rex tried to climb up. Nika shot arrows. Dent cast lightning. I noticed the platforms were connected by ropes. I cut one rope. The whole structure folded like bad furniture. Every goblin fell into a soup cauldron. Sierra gave me a look. I shrugged. Maybe my stats were suppressed, but stupidity had no level cap. By the time we reached the boss room, the firewolves had decided I was some sort of tactical genius. Then the goblin chef appeared. He was level 25. He carried 2 meat cleavers and wore an enormous hat. Rex charged. The chef slapped him away with a fish. Nika fired. The chef blocked with a pot lid. Dent cast a fireball. The boss absorbed it into his stove and entered heated kitchen mode. Apparently that was bad. Flames covered the floor. Rex yelled for everyone to use water items. Nobody had any. I opened my inventory. I did have water. I had 18 million liters of something called pure first spring water. Sierra slapped my hand away before I could use it. She said one bottle was a retired alchemy ingredient worth 500,000 gold. I searched again. I found a rusty watering can. Original farm tool. No market value because bound to account. Perfect. I filled it from a sink in the previous room. Then I watered the boss. Nothing happened. The firewolves stared at me. I had just poured water on a level 25 goblin chef while everyone was on fire. Then the boss slipped. His cleaver flew out of his hand. It hit the emergency pipe above the stove. Water sprayed everywhere. Heated kitchen mode ended. Rex screamed that this was brilliant. It was not brilliant. I had been aiming for the flames. We won. 30 seconds later, the dungeon reward chest appeared. Everyone got coins, beginner equipment, and food tokens. I received a strange paper card. Goblin Pantry loyalty coupon. Valid for 1 free meal after 10 dungeon clears. Rex laughed. Apparently it was an ancient joke item that had been removed from the loot table decades ago. Sierra leaned closer. Then her eyes widened. Because my account's legacy loot rules had generated the original version of the coupon. The original coupon did not say which Goblin Pantry. It only said any Goblin Pantry establishment. At some point, the Dungeon's Joke restaurant had become a real NPC franchise. There were now 2,300 Goblin Pantry restaurants across the game world. My coupon technically worked at all of them. Forever. Sierra told me collectors would go insane. Rex asked why she looked sick. I put the coupon away. Then I did something even more dangerous. I thanked the firewolves for teaching me. Rex puffed out his chest and said I had potential. He offered to mentor me personally. Sierra turned around so he would not see her face. I accepted, not because I needed him, because it was hilarious. Outside the dungeon, Rex taught me how to use a basic dash. I accidentally dashed into a fruit stand. The merchant threw an apple at me. I caught it. Legacy achievement unlocked. Catch 100,000th thrown object. I had apparently caught 99,999 objects through automated worker activities. The reward was a title, Supreme Catcher. The title added 500 agility. I immediately disabled it. Then Rex taught me equipment enhancement. You placed a weapon in a menu, added stones, and increased its upgrade level. Simple. I tried it on my cheap iron sword. The interface automatically selected enhancement materials from my inventory. I saw a glowing crystal. I clicked confirm. Sierra screamed 1 second too late. The sword flashed. Plus untaf. Plus do, plus toi. It skipped directly to plus 15, then plus zwanzigste, then the item name changed. Beginner Iron Sword of Impossible Persistence. Rex dropped his own sword. Sierra checked the material log. I had used a primordial star ember. Only 7 were known to exist. Now 6. I had 412 in storage. I quietly unequipped the sword. Rex asked where I had gotten the ember. I told him a farm. He thought I was making fun of him. The sky suddenly darkened. A huge holographic face appeared over Brightport. It was Lady Vale. She announced an emergency market stabilization conference. Then she specifically requested that Jin the Destroyer attend. The entire beginner plaza began looking around. I pulled my hood lower. Sierra sighed. Our attempt at anonymity lasted another 7 seconds. Bun Bun crawled out from under my cloak. A streamer recognized it. Someone screamed my name. Every player in the plaza turned toward me. Rex laughed. Then he saw my hidden profile flicker because a legacy notification temporarily disabled privacy mode. Rank Ersta. His mouth opened. He looked at me. He looked at the plus 20 beginner sword. He looked at Sarah. He looked back at me. I told him his dash lesson had been very useful. Rex sat down on the pavement. The crowd surged forward. I panicked. I grabbed Sierra. I activated teleport. I had never used teleport before. The menu asked for destination. I tried to type Greenhaven. Bun Bun jumped onto the interface. Its paw hit random. The spell activated. Rex, Sierra, Bun Bun, and I vanished. We reappeared in complete darkness. Something wet touched my shoe. A deep voice asked who dared enter the sealed royal chamber. I turned on a light spell. We were standing in front of a skeleton wearing a crown. Behind him was a gigantic treasure vault. Sierra checked the map. Then she slowly informed me that we were beneath the imperial palace of the strongest NPC empire in the game. Rex, who had accidentally been teleported with us, made a tiny squeaking noise. The skeleton king raised his staff. I raised both hands, and Bun Bun stole his crown. Bun Bun ran across the royal vault with the skeleton king's crown in its mouth. The skeleton king made a sound I had never heard from a skeleton before. It was the sound of an accountant watching someone spill soup on a tax form. He raised his staff. Hundreds of treasure chests opened at once. Golden chains shot toward us. Rex screamed. Sierra rolled aside. I forgot my stats were still suppressed and tried to block with my plus 20 beginner sword. The sword touched one chain. Every chain shattered. So did 14 treasure chests. So did the marble floor. The shockwave traveled through the vault and rang every bell in the palace above us. I stared at the sword. Sierra stared at the sword. Rex whispered that he would never make fun of beginner equipment again. The skeleton king was less impressed. He called me a thief. I told him I was not a thief. Bun Bun returned with the crown and dropped it into my hands. This weakened my argument. I immediately tried to give it back. The moment my fingers touched the crown, an ancient system window appeared. Legacy item detected. Crown of administrative burdens. Would you like to restore missing ownership records? There was a yes button and a no button. I had learned my lesson. I did not press anything. Bun Bun pressed yes. A scroll unrolled across the air. The Skeleton King's eye sockets turned blue, then green, then pink. Then he lowered his staff. He looked at me and asked for my account creation date. I answered. He asked whether I still possessed agricultural permit 0000071B. I searched my inventory. To my horror, I did. It was in a folder called Papers Momo said were important. The permit was yellow, wrinkled, and stamped by an NPC clerk who had probably been deleted before half the current player base was born. The skeleton took it. He examined the stamp, then he bowed. Rex fell over. Sierra asked what was happening. The skeleton introduced himself properly. He was not a dead king. He was Royal Treasurer Awesome, an immortal administrative NPC from the original game. His old character model simply happened to be a skeleton because the first developers thought undead accountants were funny. Awesome explained that Greenhaven's original farm permit had been issued under the First Imperial Agricultural Expansion Act. That act gave registered farms a tiny share of tax revenue collected from trade roads they helped maintain. Nobody cared because the share was almost nothing, except my farm had expanded, then expanded again, then built roads, then caravans, then towns, then bridges, then more roads. For 30 years, Greenhaven's worker network had maintained thousands of kilometers of infrastructure. The Empire owed us back pay. I began feeling afraid. Awesome opened a ledger. The number was larger than my gold balance. I closed the ledger. I told him we could discuss it later. He said there was no later. The debt had been accumulating interest for 10,411 days. I asked whether we could waive the interest. Rex grabbed my shoulders. He asked what was wrong with me. I explained I did not want to accidentally bankrupt an NPC empire on my second day back. Sierra agreed. The skeleton accountant did not. Apparently the Royal Treasury system considered unpaid debt dishonorable. If I refused payment, it would continue calculating interest. If I accepted payment, the palace treasury would lose a terrifying amount of gold. We needed a third option. I searched my inventory for tax. I found agricultural tax credits, millions of them. Greenhaven had apparently earned credits by producing food during server-wide famine events. Most had expired, but my legacy account had offline asset preservation. Nothing had expired. I asked whether tax credits could offset debt. Awesome's blue eye flames widened. For the next 10 minutes, a level 1,000 plus player, a level 4 beginner, a level 34 guild leader, a skeleton accountant, and one winged rabbit performed emergency fiscal policy in a royal basement. We canceled the debt, then we accidentally discovered the Empire owed Greenhaven 12 decorative fountains and a ceremonial goat. I accepted the goat. It seemed simpler. The palace guards finally arrived. They found us sitting around a treasure chest while Awesome explained road depreciation. The guards tried to arrest us. Awesome arrested the guards for interrupting an audit. Then the Emperor arrived personally. Emperor Kalis was an NPC over level 1100. He wore white armor, a blue cape, and the exhausted expression of a man who had been summoned from dinner because a rabbit breached his treasury. He looked at me. He looked at Bun Bun. He looked at Rex. He looked at the broken floor. Then he asked one question. Was I Jin from Greenhaven? I said unfortunately yes. He hugged me. I had expected execution. Instead, the Emperor was delighted. Apparently Greenhaven supplied his palace with coffee. Momo's caravans had been delivering it for 23 years. I had never drunk Greenhaven coffee. The Emperor immediately had some brought down. I took one sip. My character received a 12-hour movement speed buff. I nearly vibrated through the wall. Sarah confiscated my cup. Emperor Kalis invited us upstairs. The palace was enormous. Every hallway had player tourists pressed behind magical ropes trying to get screenshots of famous NPCs. The moment I appeared beside the Emperor, chaos started. My identity was already public again. Players began recording. Rex walked beside me with the expression of a man who had entered a tutorial dungeon that morning and somehow ended up in a royal procession by lunch. He whispered that his guild would never believe him. I told him they had probably been watching the stream. He checked his messages. He had 11,000. Nika's first message was simply, explain. We reached the throne hall. I assumed the Emperor wanted to discuss politics. Instead, he wanted help with a festival. That was much better. Brightport's annual Imperial Summer Festival began that day. There were races, cooking contests, crafting exhibitions, monster shows, duels, and the legendary Royal Fishing Tournament. When he said fishing, Every player in the throne hall became strangely tense. I asked why. Sierra gave me a history lesson. 14 years ago, the developers added competitive fishing rankings. Nobody cared for 2 weeks. Then somebody discovered the top fishing guild controlled access to a rare cosmetic hat. Within 6 months, alliances formed. Trade routes were blockaded. Guilds sabotaged each other's bait supplies. One player spent the equivalent of a luxury car on a digital fishing boat. The conflict became known as the Great Fishing Civil War. I laughed because I thought she was joking. Nobody else laughed. The Emperor explained that tensions still existed. This year's tournament had attracted the 3 biggest fishing guilds in the world: the Silver Hooks, the Ocean Tyrants, and Grandma's Sunday Anglers. Sierra whispered that the Grandmas were the dangerous ones. The Emperor wanted me to participate as a neutral celebrity. I told him I did not know how to fish. He said perfect. Apparently everybody was tired of experts. 10 minutes later, I was standing beside the royal lake holding a beginner fishing rod. The crowd filled floating stands around the water. Huge screens showed the contestants. The Silver Hooks wore matching silver coats. The Ocean Tyrants had an actual battleship. Grandma's Sunday Anglers sat in lawn chairs and stared at everyone with terrifying confidence. I stood between them in 40 gold beginner armor. Bun Bun sat on my head. Rex and Sierra watched from the dock. The rules were simple. 1 hour, catch fish, points based on rarity and size. No combat skills, no attacking other contestants, no magical explosions. The fact that the rules specifically said no magical explosions told me a lot about competitive fishing. I had no bait. I searched my inventory. Worm. Result: 2,901,112 items. Most were monster materials. One was a level 600 sandworm. I chose something called common garden worm. It had been collected by Momo on day 11. I put it on the hook. The fisherman beside me went pale. He recognized it. Apparently common garden worms no longer existed. A climate patch had replaced them with soft soil worms 20 years ago. I had accidentally equipped vintage bait. The tournament began. Everyone cast at once. The Silver Hooks used synchronized enchanted rods. The Ocean Tyrants activated sonar. The Grandmas threw bread. I cast my line. The hook landed 3 feet from the dock. Rex covered his face. I waited. Nothing happened. 30 seconds. 1 minute. 5 minutes. Players began laughing. Then I got a bite. I pulled. The rod bent. I pulled harder. Nothing moved. Sierra shouted not to use my full strength. I carefully increased stat suppression by 1%. The lake bulged upward. Something enormous moved below us. The fishing guilds stopped laughing. The Ocean Tyrant's sonar screen went black. One Grandma stood up. That was apparently serious. I reeled. A shadow passed under every boat. Then an ancient creature burst from the lake. It looked like a fish. A whale and a castle had been merged during a very confused design meeting. Its name appeared. Grandfather Carp. Level 980. Length 312 meters. Tournament judges began arguing. Apparently Grandfather Carp was a removed world boss from year 3. It was not supposed to exist. My garden worm had triggered an old spawn condition that modern bait could not. Grandfather Carp opened its mouth. Half the lake began flowing inside. The Ocean Tyrants turned their battleship around. The Silver Hooks evacuated. Grandma's Sunday Anglers did not move. One of them threw bread at the boss. Grandfather Carp ate the bread. Then it turned toward me. My fishing line was still attached to its lip. I had no idea whether catching a raid boss counted as fishing. The judges had no idea either. The crowd loved it. I tried to reel. The boss pulled me off the dock. I flew across the water like a skipped stone. Sarah screamed instructions. Something about tension. Something about drag. Something about stamina. I understood none of it. So I did what I always did. I looked for the simplest solution. The fish wanted food. I owned food. I opened my inventory and searched fish food. There were too many results. I searched carp. One result was Old Momo's experimental giant carp feed. Quantity: 80,000 sacks. I threw 1 sack into the lake. Grandfather Carp, stop. It sniffed. I threw another. It followed. I slowly led the 312-meter raid boss toward the judging platform like a child luring a duck with bread. The judges backed away. Grandfather Carp rested its enormous chin on the dock. A notification appeared. Catch condition satisfied. I had not even pulled it out of the water. The tournament scoreboard broke. My score displayed as a row of question marks. Then the system recalculated. Jin, 9,999,999 points. Second place, Grandma Noonie, 4,201 points. Grandma Noonie walked over to me. She was a level 890 player with pink sunglasses. I prepared for anger. She handed me a homemade sandwich. She said anyone who could fish up Grandfather Carp deserved lunch. That was how I accidentally earned the respect of the most feared fishing guild in Eternal Dominion. The ocean tyrants were less happy. Their leader, Captain Rook, accused me of cheating with unobtainable bait. Technically, he had a point. I offered him one worm. He went silent. Then I offered every contestant a box of worms. The whole fishing economy nearly collapsed. Sierra tackled me before I could confirm the trade. She told me I had learned nothing from the ancient iron incident. I argued that worms were not an economy. Lady Vale appeared behind me. She said everything was an economy. I apologized. The festival officials awarded me the royal fishing crown. Bun Bun stole it immediately. I also received a legendary fishing rod. I put it in storage before I could accidentally upgrade it with a star ember. The real surprise came when Grandfather Carp refused to despawn. The boss just floated beside the dock waiting for more feed. Emperor Kalis checked the old files. Apparently a hidden domestication route existed. I gave the fish one final sack. Companion contract available. I declined. I had learned to read buttons. Then Greenhaven's system accepted automatically. Momo had apparently enabled auto-acquire agricultural livestock in year 12. Grandfather Carp became registered livestock number 3,810,443. My kingdom now owned a 312-meter fish. The game asked where I wanted it transported. I selected Greenhaven Reservoir. A portal opened beneath the fish. Grandfather Carp vanished. 3 seconds later, Momo messaged me. The reservoir was too small. The fish was currently wearing it like a hat. I promised to fix that later. The festival should have calmed down after that. Instead, my fishing victory unlocked an old achievement chain. 1 man, 1 rod, 1 ancient disaster. The reward was a treasure map, not a normal treasure map, a server-first treasure map from the launch version of Eternal Dominion. Sarah saw the item and nearly stopped breathing. The map pointed somewhere beneath Brightport. I recognized the location immediately. It was the old starter village, the one buried under 30 years of city expansions. Rex returned from answering guild messages. I showed him the map. He asked what it led to. The description said only one thing. For the player who remembers where everything began. I did not remember where everything began. I had spent my first day planting potatoes and losing to chickens. But suddenly everybody around me wanted to know what was under the city. Lady Vale offered to buy the map. Grandma Noonie offered to help explore. Captain Rook offered a submarine even though the location was underground. The Emperor offered royal excavation permits. I just wanted to finish the beginner tutorial. Then Sarah pointed out the final tutorial objective still incomplete on my board. Explore 1 hidden area. I looked at the treasure map. I looked at the tutorial board. For once, the game seemed to be giving me an easy answer. I should have known better. The entrance to Old Brightport was hidden underneath a noodle shop. Of course it was. The treasure map led us down 3 alleys, through a laundry basement, behind a broken vending machine, and directly into a wall. Rex suggested smashing it. Sierra suggested looking for a switch. I leaned against the wall while thinking. The wall rotated. I fell through. Treasure hunter. Rank 1 player. Defeated by architecture. Sierra and Rex followed me into a narrow stone staircase. Bun Bun fluttered down after us carrying its stolen fishing crown. The door closed behind us. For the first time since I returned, the world looked familiar. The stone texture was blockier. The torches were too bright. The barrels were all identical. Even the music changed. A simple flute melody began playing somewhere in the darkness. I knew that melody. It was the original starter village theme. 30 years vanished for half a second. I remembered sitting in my bedroom as a kid, waving a wooden sword around and believing the game world was endless. Then Rex stepped on a pressure plate. A wooden sign hit him in the face. The nostalgia ended. We entered the buried village. It had not been destroyed. It had been preserved. Buildings from the launch version stood under massive support pillars holding up modern Brightport above us. The old blacksmith shop, the first inn, the fountain, the tiny guild hall, the field where I lost to a chicken. I immediately became suspicious of the field. Sarah discovered an information plaque. Apparently years ago, developers had sealed the original zone instead of deleting it because too many early quests depended on its internal map IDs. Later updates buried it. Most players assumed nothing remained. My treasure map had opened a legacy entrance. The map glowed. A golden trail appeared. We followed it past the fountain. An NPC was sitting on the fountain edge, a little boy with a blue hat. The moment I saw him, a quest symbol appeared over his head. Not a modern glowing symbol, an old yellow exclamation mark. He looked directly at me, then he said he had been waiting. I felt guilty before I even knew why. A quest window opened. Milo's mushroom problem. Accepted 10,954 days ago. Collect 3 red cap mushrooms. Progress 0 of 3. I remembered. On my 3rd day playing, I accepted this quest. Then I got distracted by potatoes. This NPC had been waiting 30 years for 3 mushrooms. Rex started laughing. Sierra told him it was not funny. Then she started laughing too. I checked my inventory. Red cap mushroom. Quantity 4,810,002. I took out 3. The mushrooms looked more valuable than the entire buried village. Milo accepted them. Quest complete. Base reward 12 EXP, 7 copper coins, 1 loaf of bread. Then the system paused. Legacy delay modifier detected. Quest completion overdue by 10,954 days. Compensation calculation initiated. I became afraid. The 12 EXP multiplied. The 7 copper coins multiplied. The bread began glowing. When the calculation ended, I received 131 million EXP, 76 million gold, and an item called Bread of Unreasonable Patience. Sierra asked what it did. I read the description. Eating it restored 1 health every second for 10 minutes. Rex said that sounded terrible. Then Sarah noticed it had no cooldown, no level restriction, and counted as a basic food item instead of a potion. Her eyes narrowed. I put it in storage before another economy could be harmed. Milo thanked me and vanished. I expected him to fade out like an old NPC. Instead, he ran into the inn and told his mother I had finally brought the mushrooms. The innkeeper came outside holding a broom. She chased me around the fountain for making her son wait 30 years. I did not fight back. I deserved it. After she finished hitting me, she gave me a free room coupon. Apparently, Eternal Dominion's oldest NPCs believed in both accountability and hospitality. The golden map trail continued toward the old farm road. My heart sank. I knew exactly what was there. The chicken field. I told everyone to be careful. Rex asked why. I told him chickens were dangerous. He reminded me that I was rank 1. I told him chickens did not care. We entered the field. Nothing moved. Then a single white chicken stepped out from behind a fence. Its name was Pecky. Level 1. I froze. 30 years ago, Pecky had defeated me. Not a chicken that looked like Pecky. The same Pecky. Its NPC ID matched an ancient defeat record in my account history. Sierra discovered it and almost collapsed laughing. Pecky stared at me. I stared back. This was personal. I drew my beginner sword. Rex asked if I was seriously going to duel a level 1 chicken. I said yes. Sierra reminded me to keep stat suppression on. I did. Pecky charged. I sidestepped. It turned faster than expected. Its beak hit my boot. 1 damage. I swung. Pecky ducked. Rex began cheering for the chicken. Traitor. Pecky flapped at my face. I blocked. I countered. The blade stopped 1 centimeter above its head. A system warning appeared. Protected legacy NPC. Cannot be killed. Pecky pecked me in the nose. Then it ran away. Technically, I still had not beaten it. 30 years later, my greatest rival remained undefeated. I promised we would settle things someday. Pecky ignored me and ate a bug. The treasure trail ended behind the field at a tiny stone monument. I remembered the monument. It used to be decoration. Now the map dissolved into it. The ground opened. A staircase led down. At the bottom was a small room containing 1 wooden chest. No monsters, no traps, no giant fish. I felt cheated. Rex opened the chest. Empty. Sierra checked for hidden compartments. Nothing. Then I walked closer. A message appeared only for me. Launch player verified. Original unclaimed account legacy detected. The chest changed. Inside was a small round stone with a handprint carved into it. Founder's Stone. In the original version of Eternal Dominion, players needed 1 to create a guild. Modern guild creation used gold and reputation. Founder's Stones had disappeared in year 4. I picked it up. A legacy interface opened. Create organization. I tried to close it. The close button was where the confirm button used to be 30 years ago. I pressed confirm. Again, the world announcement began before I even named anything. Legacy guild created. Please enter guild name. Sierra grabbed my wrist before I could make it worse. We stared at the blank field. Rex suggested Greenhaven. Sierra suggested something less obvious. Bun jumped onto my shoulder. Its paw hit the voice input button. At that exact moment, I muttered, "This stupid rock." Guild name registered. The Stupid Rock. I had founded a legacy guild called This Stupid Rock. Rex fell to his knees laughing. I tried to rename it. Legacy guild names had a 30-day rename cooldown. The world announcement finished. Player Jin the Destroyer has created the first legacy structure guild in 26 years. This Stupid Rock. My messages exploded. Lady Vale asked if the name was symbolic. Varkas asked if it referred to the burden of strength. Grandma Nooney asked whether the guild had a fishing division. Momo asked if she should begin quarrying. I turned off messages. Then another notification appeared. Legacy guild founded using original founder stone. Dormant founder privileges restored. Maximum member limit unknown. Guild hall location available. Guild territory link available. NPC citizenship link available. Automatic legacy affiliate search complete. Eligible historical affiliates 184,221. Every citizen of Greenhaven could join. I stared at Sarah. She said no. I had not said anything. She said no anyway. Rex said yes. I asked what would happen if the entire kingdom became a guild. Sarah explained that normal guilds capped out far below that number. A guild with 184,000 NPC affiliates, most of whom had 30 years of profession growth, would be ridiculous. I reminded her that ridiculous had stopped being a useful argument 2 days ago. We returned to Greenhaven before I pressed anything else. Momo assembled the senior workers. That was when I met the rest of my original employees. I thought I had only hired Momo. Apparently she had hired others using farm profits during my first month offline. Because the old offline progression system allowed NPC managers to reinvest a percentage of earnings, Momo had expanded the staff automatically. The first generation stood in front of me. Uncle Bori, Divine Apiarist, level 1041. Tanta, Grandmaster Miner, level 1109. Pip, Supreme Carpenter, level 998. Haru, Celestial Cook, level 1022. Dodo, Beast Rancher, level 1087. A tiny woman named Fifi who looked 80 and was apparently Greenhaven's head assassin. I asked why a farm needed an assassin. Momo said they had rats. I looked at Fifi's weapon. It was a spoon. I stopped asking questions. There were 23 original senior workers. Most were stronger than the current top 100 players. None of them thought that was unusual. To them, levels were just what happened when you did your job for 30 years without taking a day off. I suddenly felt bad. I asked whether NPCs needed vacations. Momo looked confused. That question triggered a kingdom-wide administrative crisis. Greenhaven had no vacation policy. NPCs had simply rotated duties whenever tired. I spent the next 2 hours accidentally inventing paid leave. The citizens celebrated harder than when I returned. My popularity increased by 40,000 points. Sierra told me I had finally done something overpowered that made sense. Then I made the mistake of asking whether anyone wanted to join my guild. Every hand went up, even Fifi's spoon. The guild interface began calculating. I linked Greenhaven. The guild member count shot from 1 to 184,222. Sierra became member 184,223 because I had invited her earlier. Rex begged to join. He became 184,224. Then the Firewolves requested alliance membership. Legacy structures handled alliances differently. I accidentally absorbed their guild. Nika sent Rex a message. It contained language Sarah refused to repeat. The system evaluated our new guild. Guild level 1. Then every NPC contribution loaded. Crafting contribution. Trade contribution. Monster subjugation contribution. Agriculture contribution. Construction contribution. Exploration contribution. Bee contribution. I did not know bee contribution existed. The guild level began rising. 10, 50, 100, 250, 500. The maximum modern guild level was 300. Our display changed to 300 plus. A worldwide guild ranking opened. This Stupid Rock appeared at rank 1. I closed my eyes. In less than 3 days, I had become rank 1 player and leader of rank 1 guild. I still had not completed the modern tutorial. Then the system awarded a guild creation reward. 1 free guild skill. There were hundreds. Combat bonuses, experience bonuses, crafting bonuses, territory buffs. I asked Sarah what normal guilds chose. She said most top guilds took combat coordination or raid damage. I scrolled. 1 skill caught my attention. Shared beginner protection. Guild members below level 20 would not lose equipment durability on death. Useless for almost everybody in Greenhaven. Very useful for Sarah. I selected it. The interface paused. Our guild had 184,224 members. Most were not below level 20, but millions of worker-owned pets, apprentices, Temporary assistants, caravan helpers, and registered subordinates apparently counted as linked entities. The game tried to calculate protection coverage across my entire kingdom. A bug triggered. Instead of applying beginner protection to low-level members, the skill inherited Greenhaven's old offline asset preservation modifier. The text changed. Shared legacy protection. Guild-owned equipment cannot permanently break while inside affiliated territory. Momo read it. Then she slowly looked toward the workshops. Pip the carpenter began trembling with excitement. The blacksmiths started cheering. Sierra looked horrified. I asked what was wrong. She explained that high-level crafting involved risking item destruction during extreme enhancements. Our new guild skill had just removed that risk inside Greenhaven. Every crafter in the game would want access. Lady Vale sent a message before Sarah finished speaking. She offered 1 billion gold for temporary workshop membership. Then another message arrived. Varkas asked if I accepted combat specialists. Then Captain Rook. Then Grandma Nooney. Then 40,000 guild applications. I had accidentally created the safest enhancement zone in Eternal Dominion. The kingdom gates became visible on the world map for the first time. Players began teleporting toward us. Momo asked how we should handle visitors. I considered closing the gates. Then I looked at the tutorial board. One task remained. Complete one crafting lesson. I had an idea. A terrible idea. I told Momo we were opening Greenhaven to the public for one day. Sierra asked why. I held up my cheap beginner sword. Because if every master crafter in the game was coming to my farm, somebody could finally teach me how not to waste a primordial star ember on an iron stick. Opening Greenhaven to the public was like opening a bakery door during a hurricane made of gamers. At sunrise, there were already 50,000 players outside the gates. By breakfast, there were 200,000. By lunch, the teleport network issued a congestion warning. Players came from every continent. Blacksmiths, alchemists, enchanters, tailors, guild leaders, collectors, streamers. People who had no idea what was happening but saw a crowd and decided they should also be there. Momo organized entry lines. Lady Vale organized temporary trade rules. Fifi organized security. I did not see Fifi do anything. That worried me more than if I had seen her do something. The biggest attraction was our new guild protection skill. High-end crafters wanted to attempt upgrades they had been afraid to try for years. One player brought a sword he had owned since college. Another brought a shield named after his dog. One woman arrived carrying an enchanted frying pan with 17 failed enhancement scars. Greenhaven's workshops became the busiest place in the game. Hammers rang. Magic circles flashed. People cheered whenever an item survived an enhancement attempt that normally had a destruction chance. Within 2 hours, 3 global crafting records were broken. None of this helped me. I still needed to complete one beginner crafting lesson. Sierra found the current tutorial instructor. He was an NPC named Bram, level 18. He had a tiny workshop near Brightport. Unfortunately, Bram refused to enter Greenhaven because he was terrified of our blacksmith district. Apparently, one of my NPC smiths had invented a hammer that could forge other hammers. Bram said he was not emotionally ready for that, so we found a replacement. Her name was Lyra Ashand. She was the #1 player blacksmith in Eternal Dominion. She had crafted weapons used by 5 of the top 10 combat players. Her forge was famous. Her prices were ridiculous. Her temper was worse. She walked into Greenhaven wearing heat-proof armor and immediately challenged every NPC smith she saw. 3 hours later, she returned covered in soot, smiling like a maniac, and asked where they had been hiding for 30 years. I raised my hand. Technically my fault. Lyra agreed to teach me the beginner lesson on one condition. I had to use normal materials. No discontinued ore. No divine flames. No star embers. No cosmic dragon bones. No wood cut from a tree that existed before the current map. I promised. She gave me iron. Normal iron. Current iron. Worth 8 gold. I nearly cried from relief. The tutorial recipe was simple. Craft 1 utility knife. Heat metal. Hammer metal. Cool metal. Attach handle. Even I could do that. I placed the iron in the forge. The forge exploded. Not violently. It just made a deep boom and went out. Lyra stared at me. One of my passive skills had automatically purified the iron. The normal iron became refined sacred iron, no longer valid for the tutorial. We disabled the passive. I tried again. This time, Bun Bun sneezed. A tiny spark from its ancient boss aura upgraded the flame. The iron became rabbit-blessed iron, not valid. Bun Bun was removed from the workshop. 3rd attempt. I heated the iron. iron. I picked up a normal hammer. The hammer cracked because my suppressed strength setting had reset when I entered guild territory. We fixed the setting. 4th attempt. I heated. I hammered. I shaped. I cooled. Nothing upgraded. Nothing exploded. Nothing became sacred. Lyra inspected my utility knife. It was crooked. The handle leaned left. The blade was too thick. The balance was terrible. It was the worst item made in Greenhaven that day. I loved it. Tutorial objective complete. Modern crafting basics learned. I held the ugly knife above my head. The crowd outside the workshop cheered because they assumed I had created a hidden artifact. Lady Vale asked what it was worth. I said probably 4 gold. Nobody believed me. Then the identification window appeared. Handmade utility knife. Creator Jin the Destroyer. Base grade, common. Legacy creator bonus applied. Guild founder bonus applied. First successful manual craft after 957-day hiatus. Unique history tag applied. Item evolved. 30-year returner's potato peeler. Grade, mythic. I lowered the knife. Lyra grabbed it. She read the effects. +0 attack. +0 magic. +0 strength. Its only skill was peel. Removes 1 outer layer from target object. I thought it was useless. Lyra looked terrified. She tested it on an armored training dummy. The knife removed the dummy's breastplate. Not damaged, removed. The armor dropped to the floor like a banana peel. She tested it on a magic shield. The shield's outer barrier peeled off as a transparent sheet. She tested it on a locked box. The box's lock popped away. I had accidentally crafted a potato peeler that ignored armor. Varkas heard about it and appeared instantly. He wanted to test the knife against his famous Crimson Meteor armor. I refused. He insisted. I warned him. He insisted harder. We went to the arena. Thousands of players watched. Varkas activated every defensive buff he had. His armor glowed red. 7 barriers surrounded him. I equipped the potato peeler. Sierra told me to aim away from anything embarrassing. Good advice. I used peel. The first barrier came off, then the second, then the third. All 7 floated away like layers of wrapping paper. Then Varkas's breastplate detached, then his shoulder guards, then his cape, then 1 boot. I stopped the skill. The arena was silent. Varkas stood there in half his equipment, looking betrayed by reality. I immediately put the peeler in storage. Lyra offered me 10 billion gold for it. Lady Vale offered 11. Uncle Bori offered a potato. I accepted the potato. Everyone thought that meant I had rejected material wealth for symbolic reasons. I was hungry. The crafting lesson had one unexpected side effect. Players became even more desperate to join this stupid rock. Our application count passed 1 million. Sierra told me we needed membership rules. I agreed. Lady Vale suggested wealth requirements. Varkas suggested combat trials. Lyra suggested profession rank. Momo suggested good manners. I liked Momo's answer. Then I remembered why my entire ridiculous empire existed. Farming. I created an entrance test. Every applicant received 1 potato seed. Plant it, grow 1 healthy potato. That was it. The game community lost its mind. Top guilds treated it like a hidden rank 1 puzzle. Theory videos appeared within an hour. Players debated soil composition. Some used legendary fertilizer. Some used time magic. Some planted potatoes in dragon dung. One famous mage drew a 12-layer elemental formation around his seed. The seed exploded. Varkas attempted the test personally. He stabbed the ground with his spear to make a planting hole. The shockwave destroyed his plot. Failed. Lady Vale tried to optimize expected potato value through market futures. She forgot to water the plant. Failed. Lyra forged a perfect gardening trowel. Then she heated the soil by accident. Baked potato. Failed. Grandma Noonie planted her seed, watered it, sat in a chair and waited. Passed. Sierra passed. Rex failed because he kept digging it up to check whether it was growing. Nika passed on her first attempt. Within 2 days, something beautiful happened. The strongest players struggled. Actual farmers passed easily. Low-level players passed. Casual players passed. A level 12 kid who spent all his time decorating houses passed. A level 8 fisherman passed. A player who had never entered combat because she only baked cakes passed. This stupid rock became the weirdest top guild in the game. We had world champions, grandmas, merchants, crafters, beginners, decorators, and one guy whose only known achievement was collecting 4,000 different chairs. I approved the chair guy personally. Anyone that committed deserved respect. The big guilds complained that our test was unfair. I told them potatoes were fair. That statement became a meme. People printed it on shirts. Somebody carved it into a mountain. Momo asked if we should charge licensing fees. I said no. Lady Vale looked physically ill. The sudden popularity created another problem. Greenhaven's roads became clogged. Mounts crashed crashed into wagons. Players parked dragons in wheat fields. Remember the 6 unpaid parking fines? We now had 80,000. Momo wanted to build more roads. I had a cheaper idea. I opened the infinite barn and searched transportation. Most results were terrifying. Harvest engine number 7. Siege turnip cart. Underground mole express. Flying orchard platform. Then I found something simple. Old farm bicycles. Quantity: 2,408. No fuel, no magic. 2 wheels. Perfect. I placed rental stations around the kingdom. Players laughed at first. Then they discovered the bikes were legacy items with no mount stamina cost and could be used inside zones where mounts were disabled. Suddenly everybody wanted one. I refused to sell them. We rented them for 1 gold per day. Lady Vale stared at me. She asked if I understood how much I could charge. I said 1 gold was easy to count. Within a day, the sight of top-ranked warriors riding rusty farm bicycles through Greenhaven became completely normal. Varkas had a red one. Lyra attached a basket to hers. Grandma Noonie put fishing rods on the back. Rex crashed into a cabbage cart. Some things never changed. By the end of the week, I finally felt like I understood maybe 3% of modern Eternal Dominion. That was dangerous confidence. The game punished me immediately. A golden invitation appeared in front of me. Celestial Arena Championship. Mandatory rank verification match. As the new rank 1 player, I was required to demonstrate combat validity or be temporarily removed from the official leaderboard. I read it twice. Sierra read it too. This was bad. My stats were real. My items were real. My rank was technically real. My combat skill was the problem. I could beat almost anyone by turning off suppression and sneezing in their direction. But the verification match used normalized stats. Everyone's attributes would be scaled to the same tournament range. Equipment effects would be restricted. Territory bonuses disabled. NPC champions prohibited. No Bs. Uncle Bori looked disappointed. I had to fight using actual skill. My opponent would be selected from the top 100. Varkas immediately volunteered. I refused. He volunteered harder. The system randomly selected someone else. A player named Kaze, rank Sexta, class Phantom Blade Master, known for winning duels without taking damage. Sierra looked at the name and told me I was going to die. I reminded her it was a game. She said my pride was going to die. That was worse. I had 3 days before the match, so for the first time in 30 years I began training. Not stat training, not level grinding. Actual basic combat. Sierra taught me movement. Varkas taught me timing. Nika taught me ranged awareness. Fifi taught me footwork by chasing me around a barn with a spoon. She hit me 412 times. I respected assassins more afterward. Momo made me fight scarecrows. I lost to the first one because it had counterattack enchantments. Then I won. I practiced dodging without teleporting into bakeries. I practiced blocking without breaking weapons. I practiced using only 3 skills instead of choosing from thousands. Basic slash, basic guard, basic dash. Everyone told me I should use my ancient hidden abilities. I refused. I did not understand them. One was called Heaven-Splitting Agricultural Enforcement. I was not activating that anywhere near civilization. By the 3rd day I could move like a competent level 40 player, maybe level 50 on a good afternoon. Kaze was one of the best duelists in the world. This was not encouraging. The arena filled with spectators. Millions watched through broadcasts. Kaze entered wearing black armor and carrying 2 thin swords. I entered wearing the same 40 gold beginner armor. The officials offered me tournament gear. I declined. Not for strategy. I had forgotten to equip it. Kaze bowed. I bowed back. The countdown began. 3, 2, 1. Kaze vanished. I raised my sword. Then I remembered Varkas's first lesson. Do not watch the weapon. Watch the body. Unfortunately, Kaze's body was also gone. A blade touched my neck from behind. Match over. Kaze won in 0.7 seconds. The stadium went silent. I had just been publicly destroyed. Then I started laughing. Not because it was funny. It was extremely funny. Rank 1, defeated faster than Uncle Bori defeated Varkas. Kaze looked confused. I requested another round. Verification rules allowed best of 3. The second round began. This time I expected the speed. Kaze vanished. I used basic guard. Wrong direction. He hit my back. Match over. 0.9 seconds. 2 losses. Official rank verification failed. A system warning appeared. Combat power rank under review. The crowd began roaring. Some players called me fake. Some called me an account bug. Some celebrated because the leaderboard might return to normal. Sierra looked worried. Varkas did not. He was grinning. I asked why. He reminded me that this was not a combat skill ranking. It was combat power. The system allowed one final challenge if I wanted to prove raw power under unrestricted conditions. Kaze accepted before I could. Sierra told me not to destroy the arena. I promised. The restrictions disappeared, my suppressed stats returned, my legacy titles reactivated, my passive skills woke up, the arena floor cracked under my feet. Kaze's expression changed. The countdown started. I still did not know how to duel, so I used the one modern skill I had practiced the most, basic dash. I tapped it as gently as possible. The world blurred. I appeared behind Kaze, then 50 meters behind him, then outside the arena, then through a snack stand, then in the spectator section holding a bag of roasted nuts I had accidentally grabbed. The system took a second to locate me. Kaze slowly turned. I raised the nuts. Nobody knew what to do. Then the arena replay showed what had happened. As I dashed past Kaze, the air pressure alone had reduced his health to 1 point. I had technically won without touching him. Combat power rank verified. Rank 1 maintained. The crowd exploded. Kaze walked over after the match. I expected anger. Instead, he asked me to teach him my movement technique. I handed him the roasted nuts. I had no technique. That night, I returned to Greenhaven with my rank intact and my dignity somehow both destroyed and improved. I had learned something important. Being powerful was easy. Learning how to use power was going to take a while. Then Momo met me at the palace door holding a dusty ledger. She said the guild expansion had uncovered an old offline progression record, a record nobody had noticed because it was filed under failed agricultural experiments. I asked what kind of experiment. Momo opened the ledger. 30 years ago, one of my workers had planted a seed inside a dungeon. The dungeon had moved. The seed had kept growing. Then the plant had apparently become a dungeon owner. I stared at her. She turned the page. The plant was now requesting citizenship. The plant's name was Kevin. I did not name it Kevin. Momo did not name it Kevin. Apparently the dungeon named it Kevin. 30 years ago, Greenhaven workers experimented with crops that could grow in monster zones. One caravan guard carried a single ironroot potato seed into a dungeon called Cave of Mild Discomfort. During a monster attack, the seed fell out of his bag. Nobody recovered it. The dungeon later disappeared during a map update. Greenhaven marked the seed as lost. Offline progression did not. The seed sprouted in darkness. It absorbed dungeon minerals, then monster energy, then magic crystals. Its roots spread into the dungeon core. At some point, the dungeon system recognized the plant as a resident monster, then an elite monster, then a mini-boss, then the boss, then the owner. The Cave of Mild Discomfort became Kevin's underground agricultural experience. I read that name 3 times. Momo said Kevin chose it himself. The dungeon had reopened that morning because the Legacy Guild link finally connected Greenhaven's old records to modern territory systems. Kevin had sent a formal citizenship request. I asked what a level 1000 potato plant needed citizenship for. Momo turned the page. Property tax benefits. Of course. Syrah came with me to inspect it. Rex came because he said normal life had become boring after meeting me. Fifi came because Momo insisted on security. Bun Bun came because Bun Bun did whatever Bun Bun wanted. We teleported to a mountain region far north of Brightport. The dungeon entrance stood between 2 cliffs. A wooden sign read Kevin's Underground Agricultural Experience. Below it was another sign. Fresh produce. Safe pathways. Raid groups welcome with reservation. I was already impressed. Then 6 players flew out of the entrance screaming. They were covered in vines. A potato bounced after them. Not a monster shaped like a potato. Just a potato. Level 402. Rex looked at me. I pretended this was normal farming. Inside, the dungeon looked less like a cave and more like an underground greenhouse. Glowing roots covered the ceiling. Rows of crops grew beside lava channels. Goblin workers pushed carts. Skeletons watered mushrooms. Slimes polished vegetables by rolling over them. Every monster wore a little green apron. Nobody attacked us. A receptionist slime handed me a visitor badge. I wore it. Syrah took a picture. We passed a raid group fighting a giant onion. The onion had 3 health bars and a chef hat. When defeated, it dropped cooking ingredients. Then it respawned and returned to its field. The system had classified Kevin as a cooperative dungeon. Instead of killing intruders, it provided controlled combat encounters. Players got loot. Kevin got dungeon energy. Nobody permanently lost anything. It was basically a theme park with violence. At the center stood Kevin. He was enormous. A vast potato vine wrapped around a crystal core. Leaves the size of houses spread across the chamber. Hundreds of potatoes hung from roots in the air. One root extended toward me. At its tip was a tiny wooden name tag. Kevin. Level 1304. Profession. Dungeon Agriculturalist. Class Root Sovereign. Titles included 30 years without sunlight and surprisingly well adjusted. Kevin spoke through the dungeon. His voice came from every wall. He called me Grandpa Jin. I objected immediately. Momo's records listed me as founder. Kevin considered Momo his mother. Therefore, I was apparently Grandpa Jin. I was 43. I was not ready to be grandfather to a potato dungeon. Kevin's citizenship request was simple. He wanted to affiliate with Greenhaven. In return, he offered dungeon resources, training zones, and 30% of visitor revenue. I was about to accept when Sierra stopped me. She had learned something from watching me ruin economies. She told me to read the entire contract. I did. Page 1 was fine. Page 2 was fine. Page 3 included maintenance. Page 4 included dungeon rights. Page 5 stated that affiliated territory owners were responsible for regulatory inspection. I asked what inspection. The dungeon alarm rang. A golden system portal opened. 3 NPCs stepped out wearing white coats and carrying clipboards. Department of Adventurer Safety. Kevin had not passed a safety inspection in 27 years. Why? Because the dungeon had been missing. Now that it had reconnected to the world system, all inspections were due at once. The lead inspector adjusted her glasses. Her name was Hessa, level 600, class bureaucratic paladin. I had learned not to underestimate administrative NPCs. Hessa informed me we had 6 hours to meet modern dungeon safety standards. If we failed, Kevin would be sealed until repairs were complete. Kevin's leaves drooped. I could not let my potato grandson be closed by health inspectors on our first meeting, so we began. Problem 1. No emergency exits. Kevin solved that by growing a root tunnel. Hessa rejected it because the tunnel had no illuminated exit sign. I searched the infinite barn. Old exit signs. Quantity 8,110. We installed one. Hessa rejected it because the sign used the launch era Running Man icon. Current regulation required the modern Running Man icon wearing a helmet. I asked why the icon needed a helmet. Hessa said safety. We painted a helmet on it. Passed. Problem 2. Lava channels lacked railings. Pip teleported in with carpenters. They installed railings. The lava melted them. Tanta installed metal railings. The metal became dangerously hot. Sierra suggested moving the walkway. Kevin simply grew potatoes over the lava. The potatoes cooked instantly. Now we had baked potato channels. Hessa approved them as long as we posted allergy information. Passed. Problem 3. Monsters needed clearly marked employee rest areas. The goblins had one. The skeletons had one. The slimes did not. Slimes rested everywhere. We built a slime lounge. They ignored it. Bun Bun sat inside. The slimes followed Bun Bun. Passed. Problem 4. Raid bosses needed non-lethal warning telegraphs. The giant onion demonstrated its attack. It flashed once, screamed, and fired 30 onion lasers. Hessa marked it dangerous. We reduced the lasers to 20. Still dangerous? 10. Still dangerous. 1. Still too fast. I suggested the onion countdown before attacking. It learned to say 3, 2, 1, then fired on 2. Failed. We trained it again. 6 hours passed like that. I had fought world rankings. I had crashed markets. I had fished a 312-meter carp. Nothing was as difficult as getting an onion to respect workplace regulations. With 4 minutes left, Hessa reached the final issue. Dungeon boss emergency shutdown. Every cooperative dungeon needed a way to stop the boss if combat AI malfunctioned. Kevin was the boss. Kevin was also the dungeon. You could not shut down Kevin without shutting down everything. Hessa prepared a failure notice. I panicked. Then I remembered the original farm system. Workers had a simple command. Take a break. I opened Kevin's legacy worker record. Somewhere deep inside the mess of dungeon evolutions, the original Ironroot potato was still registered as Greenhaven Agricultural Asset number 18,441. I issued one command. Take a break. The entire dungeon stopped. Lights dimmed. Bosses sat down. Goblins put away tools. Skeletons drank tea despite having no organs. Kevin's roots relaxed. A message appeared. Offline worker rest mode active. Hessa blinked. Emergency shutdown verified. Inspection passed. The whole dungeon cheered. Even Hessa smiled a little. Then she handed me 27 years of inspection stickers. We covered one wall with them. Kevin officially joined Greenhaven. This stupid rock gained a dungeon. The guild ranking score increased. I begged the system not to announce it. The system announced it. Players immediately flooded the reservation board. Kevin became the most popular dungeon in the region by dinner. Not because of loot, because somebody uploaded a video of the baked potato lava channels. Players came for snacks. Lady Vale asked about franchising. I told her no. Kevin said yes. Apparently my potato grandson was more business-minded than I was. Before leaving, Kevin gave me a citizenship gift, a small brown potato. I inspected it. Kevin's first harvest. No stats, no effects, no market value. Just a potato grown from his first successful crop 30 years ago. I put it carefully in my personal inventory instead of the infinite barn. For once, I did not care if an item was secretly worth billions. Then Kevin gave Sarah a staff. It was level 150. She could not equip it. Rex received a sword, level 120. He could not equip it either. Fifi received a bag of onions. She nodded as if this were the highest honor available. On our way back to Greenhaven, Sarah asked what I planned to do next. I had no idea. I had been logged in for less than 2 weeks. Every day, another piece of my offline account emerged from a forgotten menu. I wanted one quiet day. Maybe I would finally explore the modern world without triggering a server announcement. Maybe I would learn cooking. Sarah told me cooking was dangerous. Fine, maybe I would sit down. I returned to my palace room. I sat on the bed. The bed gained experience. I stood up immediately. Apparently Greenhaven furniture had a growth system too. I walked into the hallway. Momo was waiting. That expression again? The expression that meant 30 years had left me another surprise. She handed me a stack of letters, not system messages. Actual paper letters, thousands of them. They were addressed to founder Jin. The oldest was 29 years old. The newest had arrived that morning. All came from NPC settlements across the world. I asked why. Momo explained that Greenhaven's caravans had founded remote trade posts. Some trade posts became farms. Some farms became villages. Some villages became towns. The Central Kingdom had lost contact with several during world map updates. Now our legacy guild connection was restoring old routes. Kevin had only been the first. I looked at the stack. How many settlements? Momo did not know. The system was still searching. A counter appeared. Affiliated offline territories detected. 1. Then zweite, then achte, then 31, then 104, then 611. The number kept rising. I watched in horror. Sarah leaned over my shoulder. Rex sat down on the floor. Momo smiled proudly. The counter stopped at 3,842. I owned 3,842 forgotten offline properties. Some were farms. Some were mines. Some were shops. One was labeled mobile. One was labeled underwater. One was labeled currently airborne. And one had a red warning beside it. Ownership disputed. Current occupant. Dragon. I stared at the warning. Then I looked at Bun Bun. Bun Bun looked at me. I had wanted a quiet day. Instead, apparently I was going to collect rent from a dragon. The dragon lived inside Warehouse 44B. That was important. Not Dragon Mountain. Not Ancient Flame Cavern. Not Throne of the Burning Sky. Warehouse 44B. 30 years ago, Greenhaven caravans had built a storage shed in a mountain pass. The shed stored turnips, wool, spare wagon wheels, and emergency pickles. Then a dragon moved into the mountain. The road closed. The caravan route changed. Greenhaven lost contact with the warehouse. 19 years later, players discovered the mountain and named the dragon Ignivar the Endless Flame. Ignivar became a famous open-world boss. Guilds fought him every week. He dropped legendary fire materials. He was level 1,210. And according to ancient land records, he had been sleeping on my pickles without a lease. Momo offered to send Fifi. I said absolutely not. Fifi looked disappointed. I did not want to evict a world boss with a spoon. Sarah came with me. Rex came too. Varkas invited himself because apparently fighting me once had turned him into my unofficial adventure uncle. We traveled by Greenhaven bicycle. Varkas complained the entire way that his dragon mount was faster. I reminded him his bicycle had a basket. He put snacks in the basket and stopped complaining. At the mountain entrance, hundreds of players waited for Ignivar to respawn. The raid timer reached 0. The cave shook. A colossal red dragon emerged. Players activated buffs. Magic circles filled the valley. Ignivar roared. Then he saw me holding a property deed. He stopped. I asked whether he was the current occupant of Warehouse 44B. The raid group slowly lowered their weapons. Ignivar looked at me like I was insane. Fair. I showed him the deed. The dragon leaned closer. One giant eye read the ancient stamp. Then he disappeared into the cave. I thought he was refusing. Instead, he returned carrying a wooden crate. Greenhaven logo. Inside were emergency pickles. Perfectly preserved. Ignivar explained that when he moved in, the warehouse already existed. He assumed it was abandoned. Years later, a Greenhaven accounting enchantment activated and began sending him rental invoices. I asked whether he paid them. Ignivar became offended. Of course he paid them. Dragons respected contracts. I checked the property ledger. He had paid rent every month for 19 years. Not in gold, in treasure. Because the old system had accepted equivalent value goods. Greenhaven had been automatically storing the payments in a sealed basement below the warehouse. I opened it. The cave lit up. Dragon scales, fire crystals, ancient coins, rare gems, legendary ore, player raid weapons Ignivar had collected after defeating challengers. There were mountains of loot. Varkas made a choking croaking sound. One of his old spears was in the pile. Ignavar had apparently taken it from him 8 years ago. Varkas asked for it back. Ignavar asked for 8 years of storage fees. Varkas stopped asking. The property dispute was not about rent. Ignavar wanted to buy the warehouse. He had grown emotionally attached to it. I looked at the shed. One wall was burned. The roof was missing. A dragon had sat on it for nearly 2 decades. I asked what he offered. Ignavar spread his wings dramatically and presented a legendary treasure chest. I opened it. Inside was one spoon. A wooden spoon. I stared at him. Ignavar explained that it was a first edition Greenhaven stirring spoon, one of only 6 known to collectors. I checked my infinite barn. Wooden spoons? 18,341? I closed the search quickly. I told him I could not accept. Ignavar's flames darkened. Raid players backed away. Then I offered a lease renewal instead. He could keep living there. Rent remained the same, but he had to stop destroying the road every Tuesday. Ignavar considered. Then he agreed on one condition. He wanted warehouse expansion rights. He needed room for his collection. I called Pip. Pip inspected the cave. Within 4 hours, Greenhaven carpenters expanded warehouse 44B into a fireproof dragon apartment with treasure shelving, reinforced floors, ventilation, and a pickle cellar. Ignavar loved it. The world boss became my tenant. The raid groups were confused. They asked whether they could still fight him. Ignavar checked his schedule. He told them weekends were fine. No raids after 8 in the evening. He had neighbors now. A system message appeared. Property dispute resolved peacefully. Landlord reputation increased. I hated that I had landlord reputation. Ignavar paid 6 months of rent in advance. The payment included a legendary helmet, 3 volcano gems, and Varkas's old spear. I gave Varkas the spear. Ignavar charged him the storage fee anyway. Everyone won except Varkas. That should have been the strangest property. It was not. Property number 91 was underwater. I traveled there in a bubble spell and found a fully operational Greenhaven mine run by mermaids. The original miners had discovered a cave connected to the ocean. A flood update submerged the region. Instead of closing the mine, the NPC workers hired aquatic staff. For 21 years, they had been extracting pearl steel. Modern players considered pearl steel one of the rarest metals in the game. Greenhaven used it for bathroom fixtures. I ordered the workshops to stop making pearl steel toilets. Lady Vale thanked me personally. Property number 204 was airborne. A farm platform had been caught in a permanent tornado. The workers adapted by raising cloud chickens. Cloud chickens produced eggs that floated upward. Harvesting required nets on the ceiling. I spent 20 minutes chasing an egg across the sky. Bun Bun caught it. Pecky would have been ashamed of me. Property number 777 was mobile. It was supposed to be a caravan station. Instead, over decades, workers kept adding wheels, then armor, then engines, then more wheels. It had become a moving town called Wagenburg. Population, 0,000. Speed, unnecessary. When we found it, Wagenburg was racing an NPC train. The town won. I asked the mayor why. He said the train started it. I accepted this answer. Property number 1111 was a shop. Just a shop. No monsters. No mutations. No world boss tenants. It sold socks. I almost cried with joy. Then I learned the shop's owner had automated sock production for 28 years. Inventory, 91 million socks. I closed the door. Some problems could wait for future generations. Property number 2006 was a bakery inside a dungeon. Property number 2500 had become a retirement village for former bandit NPCs. Property number 3003 was a lighthouse in the middle of a desert because the ocean had been moved in a map rework. The lighthouse keeper refused to relocate. He said ships might come back. I respected his commitment. Every property reconnected to Greenhaven's network. Every property uploaded 30 years of partial earnings. My account notifications started again. Offline territory revenue, 8,441,220,881 gold. Stored resources, 1,204,811 items. Deferred quest rewards, 41,992. Unclaimed livestock, 600,221. I refused to press claim all. I had learned Momo press claim all. She thought I had asked her to. My level display flashed, 1,000 plus. Still 1,000 plus. Apparently the interface had given up. My gold balance increased so much that Lady Vale requested I stop showing it in public because markets were reacting emotionally. The infinite barn added another floor. Then something impossible happened. It It ran out of categories. The inventory AI created a folder called "Please sort this yourself." I felt personally attacked by my own storage. The property reconnection also restored old worker messages. Most were ordinary. Need more nails. Caravan delayed by rain. Goats escaped again. Mine found strange blue rock. Please tell Founder Jin we hope he is well. That last type made me slow down. These NPCs had kept working because the system told them their owner might return. Momo had believed I would. Some workers had not. Some thought I was a legendary absentee farmer. Some thought Founder Jin was a ceremonial title. One remote village had built a statue of me. The statue looked nothing like me. It had 4 arms and a beard. I considered correcting them. Then I saw the statue's passive tourism revenue. I left it. For all the absurd rewards, I realized Greenhaven had not grown because of me. I had planted 12 potatoes and disappeared. Momo and the others had built everything. So I created a new kingdom rule. Every offline territory became co-owned by its resident NPC community. Profits would support the places that generated them. Greenhaven citizens received direct shares. Momo tried to object. I told her I was still founder. She had to obey one order every 30 years. She laughed, then she accepted. The system rewarded me with another title. Benevolent Absentee. It gave plus 20 leadership and minus 10 credibility. Fair. The next morning, I woke up to thousands of NPC celebrations across connected territories. Players noticed. Videos spread. Suddenly, my ridiculous potato guild had a reputation for treating NPCs better than many player empires. Applications tripled. I was not ready for that. I put Momo in charge. Then I escaped Greenhaven with Sarah before anyone could give me paperwork. We decided to do something normal. A quest. A regular modern quest. No legacy content, no property deeds, no discontinued items, no rank challenges. Sierra chose one from the Brightport board. Delivery help needed. Carry a package from Brightport to a village 20 minutes away. Reward: 500 gold and 2000 EXP. Perfect. We accepted. The package was a box of pastries. I held it carefully. We walked, not teleported, not flew. Walked. Birds chirped. Low-level players fought wolves nearby. Nothing exploded. 5 minutes passed. 10 minutes. 15. I began believing peace was possible. Then a thief NPC jumped out of a bush. Level 22. He demanded the box. Sierra reached for her staff. I stopped her. This was a normal quest encounter. I could handle it. I drew my normal iron sword, not the plus 21. I kept suppression on. The thief attacked. I blocked. Correctly. I dashed. Correctly. I used basic slash. Correctly. The thief lost half his health. I did not destroy a mountain. I did not launch him into space. I did not create a market crisis. I was thrilled. He attacked again. I parried. I won. The thief ran away. Sierra actually clapped. I had completed a normal fight like a normal player. This was my greatest achievement. Then I noticed the pastry box had fallen on the road. Bun Bun had eaten everything. Quest failed. I chased the rabbit for 2 miles. Sierra laughed the entire way. We bought replacement pastries. I paid with normal coins because I had finally learned to keep a small wallet. We delivered them. Quest complete. 500 gold. Deuce, 000 EXP. No hidden multiplier. No ancient achievement. No legendary relic. Just 500 gold. I saved the quest completion window as a screenshot. I was improving. Then the village elder recognized my name. He asked whether I was the founder Jin from Greenhaven. I considered lying. Before I answered, he pulled out a 30-year-old unpaid invoice for 16 bags of fertilizer. I stared at the sky. The game stared back. Peace had lasted 23 minutes. A personal record. The fertilizer invoice turned out to be legitimate. Momo checked. Greenhaven had purchased 16 bags 29 years ago. Payment failed because a caravan was eaten by a giant snail. I paid the invoice. With interest, it cost 8,400 gold. A tiny amount compared with my treasury. I felt good, responsible, mature. Then the village elder gave me a second invoice. This one was for snail removal. I teleported away. Back in Greenhaven, a much larger problem had arrived. Astra Veilheart stood outside the palace with 400 players wearing dark blue armor. She was not related to Lady Veil. Apparently Veil was just a popular name. Astra led the guild Eternal Crown, formerly rank 1 guild in the world. Formerly because this stupid rock had launched past them by accidentally counting 30 years of NPC labor. Eternal Crown was furious, not because they hated me personally, because their guild had spent 9 years maintaining first place. They had raid teams, economic departments, training academies, professional strategists, and then my guild appeared with a potato test and a chair collector. Astra wanted official verification. I understood. If I had spent 9 years training and somebody beat me because his grandma NPC had been farming since dinosaurs, I would want answers too. The guild system offered us several verification modes: full guild war, territory siege, raid race, resource contest, crafting contest, competitive parade. I asked what competitive parade was. Sierra told me not to ask. Astra wanted a raid race. Varkas wanted full guild war because Varkas wanted full guild war with everyone. Momo wanted resource contest. I agreed with Momo. Astra smiled. That worried me. Eternal Crown controlled some of the best mining zones in the game. They had thousands of professional gatherers. A resource contest sounded fair. The system asked us to choose rule set: modern, classic, legacy. I meant to click modern. Bun Bun stepped on my foot. I clicked legacy. The rules changed. Legacy resource contest, harvest trial. Each guild receives identical farmland. Duration, 3 hours. Grow the highest value basket of produce using only resources obtained within the trial zone. No outside items. No pre-grown crops. No combat against opponents. No livestock larger than 1 goat. Eternal Crown's 400 elite raiders went silent. Behind me, Greenhaven's farmers began smiling. This was clearly unfair, so I made a rule. No senior Greenhaven workers. No profession masters. No one above level 100. Momo looked offended. I told her this was verification, not execution. Our team ended up being me, Sierra, Rex, Nika, Grandma Nooney, the chair collector, 14 low-level guild members, and a goblin from Kevin's dungeon who insisted he was good with onions. Eternal Crown chose 20 of their best members, all level 700 or higher. Astra herself joined. They had a master alchemist, a top chef, 2 gatherers, a weather mage, and a player whose class was literally agricultural warlock. I began regretting my fairness. The trial zone opened. 2 identical farms, empty soil, a shed, a well, a forest nearby. The system provided basic tools and 10 random seed packets. Our seeds were terrible. Turnips, beans, carrots, radishes. 1 packet labeled mystery vegetable. Eternal Crown immediately formed teams. Their gatherers ran into the forest. Their mage analyzed weather. Their alchemist tested soil. Astra assigned tasks with military precision. Our team looked at me. I was the founder of a farming kingdom. They expected leadership. I picked up a hoe. I had no farming knowledge. Remember? My profession had reset during legacy conversions. Sierra knew more than I did. Grandma Nooney pushed me aside. She told everyone to stop staring and start digging. For the next hour, I received the most humiliating education of my life. I planted too deep. I watered too much. I stepped on a bean. I planted radishes upside down. I did not know plants could be planted upside down in the game. Apparently they could. Across the field, Eternal Crown used magic to optimize everything. Perfect irrigation, controlled sunlight, accelerated compost. Their crops grew twice as fast. Rex panicked. I did not. For once, overwhelming strength could not save me. My inventory was locked. My titles were disabled. Greenhaven bonuses did not work. We had to play the system in front of us. I looked at the rules again. Highest value basket of produce. Not largest harvest. Not rarest crop. Value. Eternal Crown assumed value meant market price. Maybe it did. But Old Eternal Dominion used NPC appraisal for legacy events. I remembered because I once sold a perfect potato to a shop for less than a crooked carrot. Old NPCs cared about quality grades. Quality came from hidden conditions. Sierra and I searched the farm, not for resources, for weird old mechanics. Behind the shed we found a beehive. Uncle Bori would have summoned a hurricane of divine insects. I had 1 normal hive. I left it alone. Near the well, Nika found a patch of wild clover. The chair collector found an old wooden stool. Nobody knew why that mattered. He did. He placed it beside the field. Apparently sitting restored farming stamina faster in legacy rules. The man had finally found his battlefield. We rotated workers through the stool. Grandma Nooney used leftover fish bait as fertilizer. The goblin sang to onions. I asked why. He said onions liked confidence. I could not disprove it. We chose 1 crop. Carrots? Not because they were valuable, because Bun Bun had taught me something. Legacy systems loved weird conditions. The trial zone had an NPC goat. The rules said no livestock larger than 1 goat. Why specifically 1 goat? Because goats mattered. We fed the goat turnips. The goat produced fertilizer. We used that on clover. Bees visited the clover. Then we moved the hive near the carrot field. Pollination bonus? The weather mage on Eternal Crown's side created perfect sunlight. I noticed the clouds moved away from both farms. Their spell affected the whole trial zone. Free sunlight. Thank you. Astra noticed too late. She yelled something at her mage. I waved. Then the mystery vegetable seeds sprouted. Potatoes. I felt destiny. We replanted our best soil section. This time I did it myself. Not as Founder Jin. Not as rank 1. as the guy who had once been level 7 and liked potatoes. I remembered the old rhythm. Dig, seed, cover, water. Do not panic. The plant grew. It was not legendary. It did not glow. No dragon appeared. It was a potato. A good potato. I smiled. At the end of 3 hours, Eternal Crown presented a gorgeous basket. Silverleaf peppers, perfect beans, high-grade sun carrots. Every vegetable sparkled. Their estimated market value was enormous. Our basket looked like groceries. Carrots, onions, radishes, 3 potatoes, 1 bean that Rex insisted had emotional value. The judge arrived. An old NPC farmer named Della. She inspected Eternal Crown first. Excellent quality, excellent size, excellent magic saturation. Score 91,400. Astra smiled. Then Della inspected ours. She tasted a carrot. Pollinated heritage condition. Bonus. She smelled an onion. Goblin confidence song condition. Bonus. Nobody knew that was real. Not even the goblin. She checked the radishes. Stool rested worker condition. Bonus. The chair collector began crying. Then she picked up my potato. Plain. Slightly crooked. No magic. She cut it open. Legacy hand-planted condition. Returner farmer condition. First personal harvest after 10,000 day absence. Sentimental produce modifier. I stared at the system window. Sentimental produce had a modifier. The potato score kept rising. Our final total. 91,4%. We won by 1 point. 1. The Eternal Crown players collapsed onto the soil. Astra stared at my potato like it had insulted her. I offered it to her. She took it. Then she laughed. That was the end of the dispute. Official guild rank verified. This stupid rock remained rank 1. Eternal Crown requested alliance status 20 minutes later. Their application message said they wanted access to the potato curriculum. I accepted. Momo created an agricultural exchange program. Varkas complained no one had fought. Fifi hit him with a spoon. Problem solved. The harvest trial gave me something far more important than guild rank. My farming profession reappeared. F rank farmer. Level 1. I had reclaimed the skill manually. No 30-year reward. No automatic mastery. Just level 1 farming. I equipped the title proudly. My combat power dropped by 4 because I replaced a god tier title with beginner farmer. I did not care. For the next few days I farmed one small field beside the palace. Momo refused to manage it for me. She said it was mine. Sira helped. Rex planted potatoes too, mostly because he still wanted to pass the guild test properly. Bun Bun ate half the carrots. Grandma Noonie installed a fishing chair even though there was no water. I learned slowly. Then one morning my farming skill reached level 2. A tiny notification appeared. No global announcement. No fireworks. No world boss. Just farming proficiency increased. Best notification in the game. I was starting to think maybe I could build actual skill instead of living off old rewards. That thought survived until lunch. Then my palace shook. A portal ripped open over the courtyard. A massive wooden object fell out of the sky and crashed into the cabbage garden. Everyone ran outside. The object was a ship, not an airship. A sea ship, covered in barnacles, sitting in the middle of my cabbages. Its sails showed the Greenhaven potato crown. Momo went pale. I had never seen Momo go pale. A hatch opened. A crab wearing a captain's hat climbed out. It saluted me. Then it delivered one sentence. The offshore farm had returned. I looked at Momo. She whispered that she had forgotten about the offshore farm. I slowly sat down in the dirt. There was an offshore farm. Of course there was. The offshore farm began as a raft. Momo showed me the records. Year 2 of my absence, Greenhaven wanted seaweed. The nearest coast was far away, so Momo sent 12 workers to build a small floating garden. The garden became a barge. The barge became 3 barges. Then storms pushed them beyond the trade route. A map expansion changed the coastline. The barges lost contact. Greenhaven assumed the workers had settled somewhere. Technically correct? They had settled everywhere. Captain Clack, the crab standing in my cabbage field, opened a sea chart. Green marks covered the oceans. Floating farms. Island warehouses, coral mines, fishing stations, kelp ranches, pearl orchards. One label simply said, "Suspicious hole, do not enter." I asked how many people belonged to the offshore network. Captain Clack clicked his claws. Swy and Zipsik come a 000 NPCs. I put my face in my hands. Momo apologized. I told her to stop apologizing for accidentally creating civilizations. At this point, it was her main hobby. The crashed ship in my garden was not the offshore farm. It was a messenger vessel. The actual offshore farm was approaching Brightport. I traveled to the coast, so did half the server. Players had seen the potato flag ship fall through my portal. Anything involving Greenhaven now became instant entertainment. We reached a cliff overlooking the sea. At first I saw nothing. Then the horizon moved. An island appeared, then another, then 20. They were not islands. They were ships. Hundreds of gigantic wooden platforms sailed in formation. Fields grew on their decks. Windmills turned. Cows grazed behind railings. Fishing nets stretched between vessels. One ship carried an entire orchard. Another had a volcano in a pot. A third was being pulled by 6 whales wearing harnesses. At the center floated a farm larger than Brightport's royal district. A lighthouse stood on one end. A castle made of driftwood stood on the other. Its name appeared on the map. Greenhaven Offshore Agricultural Fleet. Faction nickname, the Turnip Tide. Sarah started laughing. Rex asked whether my farm had accidentally become a navy. Momo said technically it was an agricultural logistics collective. A cannon fired from one ship. It launched a pumpkin. The pumpkin exploded into fireworks. Agricultural logistics. Sure. The fleet anchored outside Brightport. Captain Clack introduced the current offshore administrator, Admiral Maribel. She was an NPC mermaid riding inside a glass tank mounted on 6 mechanical legs. Level 1177. Profession, ocean farmer. Class, title quartermaster. She saluted me. Then she gave me a basket of sea cucumbers. Apparently this was diplomatic tradition. I accepted carefully. No system message appeared. Good. The offshore network wanted to rejoin Greenhaven. I had learned to read contracts. I checked everything. Revenue sharing, worker ownership, environmental rules, shipping rights, pirate clauses. I stopped. Pirate clauses? Maribel explained there was a small issue. The Turnip Tide had been classified as pirates 20 years ago. Not because they robbed people, because an NPC kingdom tried to tax seaweed. Maribel refused. The kingdom sent ships. The farm fleet defended itself using vegetable cannons. Somebody sank a royal cruiser with a pumpkin. The game system labeled them pirates. Over time, actual pirates tried to attack. The farm workers defeated them, then hired them. Eventually, the Turnip Tide became the number 3 pirate faction in Eternal Dominion. I asked who number 1 was. Maribel pointed toward the horizon. A black fleet appeared. Of course, the Pirate King had followed them. His name was Captain Zero, a level 940 player famous for naval PvP. He led Black Wake, the strongest pirate guild on the server. He had discovered the Turnip Tide's return and assumed they were invading his waters. Captain Zero's flagship approached. Its cannons glowed. Players on the cliffs cheered. I did not. I had just grown one good potato. I was not ready for naval warfare. Captain Zero called for Admiral Maribel. She prepared to answer. I stopped her. I asked what the dispute was actually about. Territory. He believed the Turnip Tide was claiming Brightport coastal waters. Maribel said they only wanted temporary anchorage and access to Greenhaven. Simple. I sent Captain Zero a message. He refused to believe me. He assumed rank 1 player plus rank 1 guild plus giant hidden farm navy equaled secret ocean conquest. I could not blame him. From the outside, my life looked extremely suspicious. We needed proof. Syrah suggested an agreement. Lady Vale suggested trade concessions. Varkas suggested ship-to-ship combat. Nobody asked Varkas again. Then Captain Clack showed me the offshore charter. It contained a dispute rule. Agricultural fleets settled sea claims through traditional buoy challenge. I asked what that was. Nobody knew. The system did. Legacy maritime contest available. Both sides agreed before reading the rules. Mistake. A buoy appeared 5 kilometers offshore. The objective was to reach it, circle it, and return. 1 vessel per faction. No weapons, no teleportation, no flying. Captain Zero chose his fastest warship. Black hull, magic sails, dragon engine, crew of elite sailors. The Turnip Tide looked at me. I asked what our fastest vessel was. Maribel pointed toward a tiny rowboat. I thought she was joking. She was not. The boat was named Vegetable Delivery Craft 2. It had 2 oars. I asked why it was fastest. She pointed under the water. Grandfather Carp was attached to it. My 312-meter pet fish had escaped Greenhaven Reservoir, followed a river to the sea, and joined the offshore fleet. Apparently he liked the food. Captain Zero's face changed. I sat in the rowboat. Syrah sat behind me. Bun Bun sat in front. Grandfather Carp waited below. The race began. Captain Zero's warship launched forward. We did not move. I asked how to command Grandfather Carp. Maribel shouted that he followed feed. Of course. I threw 1 pellet ahead. The fish surged. Our rowboat became a projectile. I lost the oars instantly. Syrah screamed. Bun Bun loved it. We crossed 1 kilometer in seconds. Then Grandfather Carp ate the pellet and stopped. Captain Zero passed us. I threw another. We launched again. This became the stupidest stupidest high-speed race in history. Throw food. Accelerate. Stop. Throw food. Accelerate. Stop. We reached the buoy first. Then I made a mistake. I threw the pellet too far left. Grandfather Carp turned sharply. The rowboat swung around the buoy at impossible speed. Sierra and I leaned sideways. Bun Bun spread its wings like it was surfing. We completed the circle. On the return path, Captain Zero activated a legal speed skill. His ship caught us. We were side by side. He grinned. Then Grandfather Carp noticed something behind his ship. A school of tiny silver fish. He wanted them. He turned. Our rowboat turned. We crossed behind Captain Zero's ship. The rope wrapped around his rudder. Grandfather Carp pulled. Now the 312-meter fish was towing both vessels. Captain Zero screamed that this was illegal. The system checked. No rule covered accidental opponent towing. We crossed the finish line together. The judges declared the turnip tide winner because our rowboat's front edge crossed first by 11 centimeters. Captain Zero demanded a replay. The replay showed Bun Bun leaning forward at the final moment. The rabbit had won the race with its face. Captain Zero stared at me for a long time. Then he started laughing. He agreed the turnip tide could anchor. Black Wake even offered escort services. Maribel accepted. Another enemy became a business partner. I was beginning to suspect most wars could be prevented by forcing leaders into stupid minigames. The offshore fleet rejoined Greenhaven that evening. Our affiliated population increased. Our territory map expanded over half the ocean. Lady Vale told me not to look at the guild ranking. I looked. We were still rank 1. The gap between us and rank 2 had become embarrassing. I asked whether we could hide the score. Sierra found a privacy setting. I pressed it myself. Correct button. Progress. Then Maribel delivered 30 years of offshore storage. The Infinite Barn opened a new category. See things. Inside were millions of items. Old fish. New fish. Rare fish. Fish that were somehow weapons. Coral furniture. Shell armor. Pirate flags. Seaweed. So much seaweed. One folder was called Objects Retrieved from Ocean Floor. I opened it. There were thousands of player weapons. Lost cargo boxes. Sunken treasure chests. Old quest items. And one statue of Emperor Kalis wearing swim shorts. I closed it. Some history was better buried. Maribel also brought maps. The offshore fleet had traveled beyond normal routes. They had seen expansion zones most players ignored. They had traded with underwater NPC cities. They had grown crops on moving whales. They had once planted corn on the back of a sleeping sea titan. I asked whether the titan woke up. Yes. Was the corn okay? Also yes. Greenhaven priorities remained consistent. Then Maribel mentioned one lost expedition. My stomach dropped. I knew that tone. During the game's unpopular space expansion, the offshore fleet encountered a fallen skyship. They repaired it. One Greenhaven worker became curious. He loaded seeds aboard. Then he flew upward. I stared at her. Upward where? Maribel pointed at the moon. Sierra slowly turned toward me. Rex stopped eating. Momo whispered that she remembered this one. I asked why nobody had mentioned the moon farm before. Momo said because it never reported back. Wonderful. A farm worker had gone to the moon 14 years ago and vanished. I asked whether the new guild connection had found it. Maribel shook her head. No signal, no property record, nothing. For once, maybe there was no surprise. Then Captain Clack lifted one claw. He had found something in the messenger ship's cargo hold. A package. It had fallen through the same portal as his vessel. The package was covered in gray dust. Moon dust. My name was written on the side. Founder Jin. Return to sender if planet unavailable. I did not open it. Not yet. I carried it back to Greenhaven. Everyone followed. Momo, Sierra, Rex, Varkas, Lady Vale, Maribel, Captain Clack, Bun Bun. Even Grandma Noonie showed up with a sandwich. We placed the package on a table. I had opened enough 30-year-old surprises to know better than to rush. So I inspected it. No curse. No explosion. No boss trigger. Contents listed as agricultural report. I relaxed. Then I opened the box. Inside was one potato. Silver. Glowing. Floating 3 centimeters above the table. And beneath it was a letter. The first line read, Founder Jin, the lunar harvest is ready. Nobody spoke for several seconds. Then Varkas asked the obvious question. Could he eat it? I moved the moon potato away from him. The letter was written by a worker named Toto. I searched my records. Toto had been hired 22 years ago at one of the offshore stations. Original level 6. Profession deck gardener. Special skills watering, knot tying, soup. Apparently this was the man Momo allowed to fly to space. Momo reminded me she had not allowed anything. He had found a skyship and left a note. The note said, Going up, back soon. 14 years counted as soon if you were very optimistic. Toto's letter explained the expedition in simple terms. He reached the lunar zone. He planted moonbeans. The beans grew, so he planted potatoes. The potatoes also grew. Then the space expansion lost popularity. Players stopped visiting. Developers closed most public launch routes but left NPC simulation active. Toto could not return. So he did what Greenhaven workers always did when trapped somewhere impossible. He kept farming. He hired local NPCs. He repaired old robots. He converted abandoned player bases into greenhouses. He mined ice. He domesticated something he called a vacuum cow. He requested that I not ask why it could moo without air. I respected that request. The letter ended with a short summary. Lunar farm status stable. Population 38,201. Primary crops 91. Secondary crops 404. Known moon potato storage 811 million. Outstanding issue moon rabbits. I slowly looked at Bun Bun. Bun Bun slowly looked at the silver potato. Then it lunged. I caught it in mid-air. The rabbit flapped furiously. Sierra grabbed the potato. Momo grabbed the letter. Rex grabbed the table for no reason. The moon potato began glowing brighter. A gravity icon appeared. Sierra read the item effect. Lunar tuber. When exposed to ancient tutorial beast energy, temporarily reverses local gravity. We all looked at Bun Bun. Too late. The room lost gravity. Everyone floated. The table floated. Chairs floated. Grandma Nooney's sandwich floated apart into individual ingredients. Varkas tried to swim through the air. Fifi somehow remains standing on the floor. I still do not know how. The moon potato rose toward the ceiling. Bun Bun chased it. I pushed off the wall. My unsuppressed strength launched me through the ceiling. I burst onto the roof. Tiles flew everywhere. I grabbed the potato. Gravity returned. Everyone inside the room crashed to the floor. I crashed through the roof again. Momo added roof repairs to a clipboard. The lunar harvest had been in my possession for 4 minutes. We had already damaged architecture. Promising. Sierra asked whether the moon zone still existed. The current map showed nothing. The space expansion had not been completely removed. It had been archived. Players could visit a small memorial station through a museum quest, but the old lunar surface zones were inaccessible, at least publicly. My legacy account did not care about publicly. The moment I held the lunar tuber, a hidden quest appeared. Reconnect remote agricultural territory. Destination Lunar Greenhaven. Requirement valid launch authority. I searched my inventory. Launch authority. No results. Space pass. No results. Rocket. Too many results. I froze. Sierra asked how many. I did not answer. She took the interface and filtered account-bound items. There was one result. Experimental agricultural launch vehicle. Quantity 1. Location, please sort this yourself. Momo stared at me. I stared at Momo. Neither of us knew why I owned a rocket. We summoned it in an empty Greenhaven field. A wooden barn appeared. That was it. A barn. Red paint. White roof. 2 doors. A weather vane shaped like a chicken. Rex walked around it. No engines. No wings. No visible rocket. Then Pip arrived. He recognized it. Greenhaven engineers had built the vehicle during the space expansion. Players needed expensive launch tickets to reach orbital content. NPC farmers refused to pay, so they attached propulsion crystals to a barn. I opened the doors. Inside were 40 seats, seed storage, emergency tools, and one sign: please remove chickens before launch. Good rule. The launch vehicle still worked. Technically, it needed 1 Starpath core. I searched the infinite barn. Quantity 0. Finally, an item I did not own. I cheered. Everyone looked at me strangely. This was good news. It meant I had to actually play the game. We checked how to obtain a Starpath core. The item dropped from a modern raid boss called Astral Mantis. Level 880. 8-player raid. Weekly lockout. Mechanically difficult. Perfect. I could join a real raid. Learn mechanics. Work with a team. Earn an item instead of finding 10,000 copies under old socks. Sierra smiled. Varkas immediately formed a party. Kaze joined after hearing about it. Lyra joined because she wanted Moonor. Nika joined because she did not trust Rex near space. Grandma Nooney joined because someone told her there might be lunar fish. Our 8th member was Rex. Nobody had told him there was a level 300 minimum. Rex was level 41. We needed another player. Rex was devastated. Then the raid interface detected his "this stupid rock" legacy affiliate status. Greenhaven's guild system offered a mentoring scale. His stats could temporarily rise to minimum raid level. He joined anyway. The Astral Mantis raid entrance was in a crystal canyon. For once, no old property appeared. No NPC recognized me. No discontinued key opened a secret door. We entered normally. The boss descended. A gigantic purple mantis covered in stars. 8 health phases. Rotating arena attacks. Position markers. Debuffs. Damage checks. Actual mechanics. I felt excited. Then Varkas told me not to attack. Why? My normalized raid damage was still too high. If I attacked without understanding the phase triggers, I could skip mechanics and wipe the group. I had become too powerful to be useful, so my job was mechanics only. Carry crystals, stand on markers, activate switches, do not punch anything. It was harder than fighting. Phase 1, I carried the wrong crystal. Explosion. We survived. Phase 2, I stood on Sarah's marker. Explosion. We survived. Phase 3, I activated a switch too early. Larger explosion. Grandma Noonie hit me with a fishing rod. I deserved it. Then something clicked. I stopped thinking like rank 1. I watched. I listened. I learned patterns. The mantis raised its left claw before starfall. Its wings flashed before charge. The floor symbols rotated clockwise. The crystals matched the boss's eye color. Basic observations. Things experienced players did automatically. By phase 5, I stopped making mistakes. By phase 6, I called a safe position before Varkas did. He looked offended. By phase 7, Rex nearly fell off the platform. I used basic dash at minimum power, caught him, and landed inside the correct marker. No mountain exploded. Progress. Final phase. The boss became invulnerable. 8 crystals appeared. Each player had to carry 1 to a matching point. Simple, except the 8th crystal was twice as large. Rex's temporary stats were too low to move it quickly. Timer 10 seconds. Everyone else was locked in position. I could not leave my marker without failing. I looked at the arena, then I looked at Bun Bun. The rabbit was not supposed to be inside the raid. It had hidden in my cloak. Again, companions were disabled. But Bun Bun was physically present as a cosmetic follower because of an ancient bug. It could not attack. It could not use skills. It could move small objects. I threw a carrot. Bun Bun chased it. The carrot landed behind Rex's crystal. The rabbit slammed into the crystal. It moved 1 meter. Rex understood. I threw another carrot. Bun Bun pushed. Another push. Another push. Rex reached his marker with half a second remaining. The shield broke. Astral Mantis became vulnerable. Varkas screamed. Everyone attacked. I did not. I had one job. Do not punch anything. The boss fell. Raid complete. Starpath core dropped. Everybody cheered. I cheered louder. I had completed a modern raid without accidentally deleting it. The system displayed contribution scores. Sira, excellent. Varkas, excellent. Kaze, excellent. Nika, excellent. Lyra, excellent. Grandma Noonie, excellent. Rex, courageous. Jin, utility support. I saved that screenshot too. Rank 1 utility support. Beautiful. Then the loot distribution window opened. The Starpath core went to me automatically because it was my quest item. I was about to leave. A second item dropped. Ancient Mantis egg. Legacy personal loot. Sarah shouted not to touch it. I did not. Bun Bun touched it. The egg hatched. A tiny purple mantis climbed onto my other shoulder. Companion acquired. I now had 2 tutorial disasters. 1 rabbit. 1 bug. Momo was going to ban me from bringing animals home. She did not. She built them a house. The rocket barn was ready the next day. Pip installed the Starpath core. Lyra reinforced the launch frame. Maribel supplied navigation charts. Lady Vale tried to buy lunar trade rights before we had even confirmed the moon farm existed. I gave her a coupon for first choice of 1 potato. She framed it. Varkas wanted to join the expedition. So did everybody. I limited the first trip. Me, Sira, Momo, Rex, Bun Bun, the Mantis, which Sarah named Dot. Fifi tried to sneak aboard disguised as luggage. We found her. She came anyway. I sent a message to Toto. No response. The old lunar communication channel remained silent. The barn doors closed. I sat in a wooden chair with a seatbelt. Momo sat beside me calmly. Sira checked equipment. Rex looked like he might throw up. Fifi sharpened her spoon. Bun Bun tried to eat the seatbelt. Dot stared at the ceiling. The launch countdown began. I thought about how this started. 30 years ago, level 7. 12 potatoes. 1 worker. Then I quit. Now I was sitting inside a rocket barn owned by an NPC kingdom, preparing to visit a farm on the moon, while the strongest guilds in the world argued over my vegetables. I still did not know half my buttons. Maybe one day I would. The rocket activated. The barn launched. Greenhaven disappeared below us. Clouds flashed past the windows. Rex screamed until we reached space. Then he screamed for a different reason. Earth filled the window. It was beautiful. For 5 whole seconds, nobody ruined the moment. Then Bun Bun floated past wearing Fifi's hat. We reached the archived orbital boundary. The stars ahead glitched. A red barrier blocked the path. System System notice. Legacy lunar zone unavailable. I felt my stomach drop. Then the silver potato in my inventory began glowing. A signal answered. 1 point of light appeared on the moon. Then 10. Then hundreds. Then thousands. The entire dark side lit up. Green. Fields. Massive glowing farm grids spread across craters. Towers rose from the surface. Moving lights crossed roads. Something shaped like a cow floated past a moonbase. Rex pressed his face to the window. Sierra whispered that there was no way. Momo smiled. She knew. Of course she knew. The hidden lunar territory had not merely survived. It had grown. A connection window appeared. Remote territory located. Lunar Greenhaven. Offline connection duration 5,211 days. Synchronization available. I did not press anything. I had learned. The system opened the report anyway. Unclaimed EXP. Calculating. Gold earned. Calculating. Items waiting. Calculating. Territory population. Calculating. Worker power ranking. Calculating. The numbers loaded one by one. Unclaimed EXP began with 9. Then more digits appeared. And more. The display widened. Then widened again. The system replaced the number with a warning. Value exceeds standard account display. Gold did the same. Items did the same. Sierra stared at me. Rex stared at me. I stared at Momo. Momo cleared her throat. She admitted there might be one more detail. Toto had not traveled to the moon alone. During the launch, he carried several experimental worker cores. They could create autonomous farm hands from local materials. How many? Momo did not know. The synchronization report finished. Original lunar worker Toto. Current level 2,441. I stopped breathing. Momo was level 1,286. Toto, the level 6 deck gardener whose special skills included soup, was nearly twice her level. Then the next message appeared. Lunar Greenhaven territorial rank 1. Planetary agriculture rank 1. Orbital trade rank Ersta. Local defense rank 1. Moon rabbit population unacceptable. Bun Bun pressed its face against the window. The lunar barrier opened. A gigantic beam of green light connected to our barn. Then the game delivered one final notification. Lunar Greenhaven has detected Founder Jin. Emergency Founder rewards unlocked. A golden button appeared in front of me. Claim all. I looked at the button. Sierra looked at my hand. Momo grabbed my wrist. Rex grabbed my other wrist. Fifi grabbed Bun Bun. Nobody trusted anybody. I told them I was not going to press it. For once I meant it. Then Dot, the tiny mantis on my shoulder, lifted one little claw. The barn shook. The button flashed. And from the moon below us, something enormous began to rise out of a crater. It had ears. Very long ears. Bun Bun started growling. A new boss name slowly appeared across my window. I did not get time to read the whole thing, because behind the golden claim button, another notification opened. Offline account network search complete. Connected territories found beyond lunar zone 17. I stared at the number 17. The moon was not the last farm. It was only the next one. And somewhere behind me, Bun Bun escaped Fifi's grip and launched itself directly at the claim button.